by this individual Faisal Khan. What the motive behind is a matter of investigation at this point.
Right, Radhika, what was really demanded in that threat message or threat call was 50 lakh rupees was demanded. A very similar fashion to what we are seeing with superstar Salman Khan as well. Demands of money are being made from 2 crores to 5 crores as far as Salman Khan is concerned, who's got over 5 threats so far. Last year also, Shah Rukh Khan, his security was beefed up, and this is in regard to after the success of his 2 films, and apparently even then he had received threats.
That's right. Shah Rukh Khan's security was also beefed up. We know for a fact that Salman Khan had received multiple threats. The firing that happened outside his residence, and post which, of course, Baba Siddiqui murder, after which security at Salman Khan's residence office have been enhanced. But despite that, multiple threats being received by Salman Khan, and in addition to that, Shah Rukh Khan also received threat last week. The caller, Faisal Khan, demanding 50 lakh rupees from him. In fact, the police, of course, registering the FIR, the Bandra police had registered FIR under relevant sections, including extortion and criminal intimidation. The caller was, of course, traced. Faisal Khan was traced to Raipur in Chhattisgarh. Teams were dispatched, and now this man has finally been arrested. Does he have any connection to any of the gang members, including Lawrence Bishnoi? That is a matter of investigation. Or was it a prank call, or was it a mischief call that was made by this man? That is something that the police will find out once he is produced before the court, and then, of course, he is questioned by the police.
Radhika, from what we're hearing is the man accused of making that call, the person you're speaking about, Faisal Khan, a lawyer, he has gone on to say that his phone was actually stolen.
Yes, absolutely. That is the reasoning that he gave, when he was asked what exactly, happened and what drove him to make this call. He said that it was not him that made the call and that his phone was stolen. Whether it is indeed true, that is, of course, a matter of investigation. Whether it was used by somebody else and mischief played on him is something that the police is yet to find out. But at this point, of course, the breaking development is that this man has been taken into custody, will be produced before the court, after which, of course, things will become clear as to what exactly transpired and what led him to send that message or to make that was it somebody else who used his phone to make that call, and whether he has any sort of connections to Lawrence Bishnoi gang, or was it done with any other intention. So that is a matter of investigation at this point. But this man, Faisal Khan, has been arrested by the Mumbai police.
Right, the suspect who has been arrested from Raipur, he will be produced in court today. The accused is being brought to Mumbai on a transit remand. Thank you so much, Radhika. We will keep coming back to you for more on the latest. And staying with news from Mumbai, we're talking about the pollution, the smog that's engulfing Mumbai as the AQI worsens. We're talking about a layer of haze that was seen at the iconic Marine Drive, with the Mumbaikas there facing air pollution crisis in Mumbai, as well as the AQI plunges to the very poor category. So visually you can see how bad it got this morning as far as Mumbai is concerned. Very similar to the situation we have here in the national capital, where of course the pollution levels are higher when we talk about the different pockets of Delhi and different areas there in the severe category. But here, take a look at the visuals and how this layer of haze that one can see, the smog that's engulfing the city of Mumbai. We have Anuj joining us. Anuj, take us through the data this morning. How bad is it? We believe that Mumbai is in the very poor category.
Mumbai is in a poor category, but then when you look at comparative numbers from last week, this today or yesterday shows slight improvement than what was the case a few weeks ago. We've seen that ever since the month of October, there has been a thick layer of smog engulfing the entire city, which is mostly prevalent in the early hours of the day when the temperatures are relatively cooler. But then as the heat becomes more intense, we can see that most of these hazy condition, it kind of dwindles away. But what we are seeing at the moment is that the overall air quality index of Mumbai is 140 to 150, at least as of now from today, which is in moderate to poor category. But a more striking feature of this data is that now, earlier it used to be more prevalent in certain pockets of the city, right? Be it the region of North Mumbai, be it the Navy Nagar in Kolaba, be it Andheri, or certain pockets in the northern suburbs. But now we are seeing that across the city, the pollution levels are coming up to a certain level, and that may not necessarily be a very good thing, because the highest amount of pollution can be recorded in the month of December and January, when it will be even more cooler than what is the case at the moment. And with the winds, with the coastal winds becoming slightly thicker and heavier, the movement of those winds will become a thing of concern. And if they are doubled with dust, if they are doubled with pollutants and dust particles, that will create more concerns. We've also seen that many residents here in the city have complained about illnesses which has to do with lungs. There have been some people who prefer going for walks or for jogs in the morning, and they have been told to stay home, especially the more vulnerable people, be it the older women or the older people in general, pregnant women or children. So yes, the situation is in moderate to poor category, but there has been a slight improvement from last week, but one can expect it to worsen further on as we inch closer to December and January.
Right. Thank you so much, Anuj. We will keep coming back to you for more on that. For now, we're slipping into a very short break. Back with a whole lot more on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
in the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app, news that matters to you. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India, beating all its competition. NDTV stands for trust.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy.
Welcome back. Let's get you the latest from Canada. And amid fears of extremely high level of violent protests, an event that was planned in Brampton in the temple there. We're talking about the Triveni Community Centre that has gone ahead and cancelled that live certificate event that was to take place on the weekend on the 17th of November. A temple in Canada's Brampton has gone ahead and cancelled that Indian consulate event after the police cited significant security threats amid the ongoing protests and tensions that erupted following a recent pro-Khalistani attack on Hindu devotees in the area. In an open letter, the management of the Brampton Triveni Mandir stated that the Canadians now don't feel safe. They somehow feel unsafe visiting Hindu temples and call for immediate measures to ensure their safety and security. So, which is why this action has been taken. It is on the behest of the local police that have asked and said that, you know, there are security concerns, and which is why this event shouldn't go through, and they have called off this event last minute. This event that was to take place on the 17th of November, and just days before that event, this comes on the heels of, you know, there were groups that had allegedly carried Khalistani flags, gate crashed the festivities at the temple. They had started hurling stones at people celebrating the festival. So this is, you know, the incident that has been very unfortunate that took place right outside the Brampton temple just days ago, and which is why on the heels of that, we are now seeing action that is being taken. Of course, that temple attack that, you know, had gone ahead and even disrupted the consular camp, and that is something, you know, shortly after the violence that had, that violent breakout that we saw as far as the Hindu temple in Canada's Brampton is concerned, the Indian High Commission said that consular camp was being held near the temples and added that it was deeply disturbing that such disruptions are being allowed during routine consular work. So, of course, you know, Justin Trudeau also at the time had, you know, reacted to the situation. The Prime Minister had called it very disturbing and very concerning. And of course, you know, there were a lot of reactions that had come about, that a red line had been crossed. We had, you know, leaders from Australia also echoing that this should not be the case. Of course, the situation we're talking about, you know, the red line that had been crossed as far as the Canadian Khalistani extremists are concerned. The attack on the devotees inside the premises of the temple shows how deep and brazen has Khalistani violent extremism become in Canada, is what Chandra Arya had written. He's, you know, he'd been extremely angry about that attack that had taken place, and now there is action that's being taken. This is the local police there that has now sent out that notice, sent out that letter saying that, you know, there are security concerns, and which is why this event, which is a live certificate event, that has for now been cancelled. So, this event in Canada that has been cancelled, this is the temple there that was going to be holding this event, and now this, of course, amid fears of an extremely high level of violent protests. That is what has been said. So, the event, that consular camp that was scheduled to take place over the weekend, where Indian origin Hindus and Sikhs could renew essential life certificates, has been cancelled. And we have Vishnu joining us. Vishnu, take us through this action that has been taken, keeping in mind the attack that took place just a few days ago.
Well, this is a latest example of how the regional police in Canada, in this case the Peel Regional Police, which looks after the Brampton area of Ontario, are unable to deal with Khalistani elements which exist in the area. Remember, this was the temple where there were protests, violent protests, which took place, you know, within the temple premises, just outside the temple premises. Following this, the Canadian police had written to the Indian consulate in Toronto saying that consular activities, or camps which the consulate has planned, should be postponed because they are not in a position to provide security. The letter that we now have shows two things. One, there are two letters. The first letter shows that the police, the Peel police, reaching out to the temple management and saying that, look, we'd be very grateful if you postpone this for the moment because of a law and order concern. The second one is the response of the temple management, where they say that they're extremely saddened by the fact that Canadians now feel unsafe coming to Hindu temples in Canada, and that they rely on Peel police to address the threats being circulated against the Brampton Triveni Mandir and provide security guarantees to the Canadian Hindu community and the general public. So this is, you know, just an example of the tensions which exist in Brampton, where Khalistani extremists or supporters of the so-called Khalistani cause exist and continue to cause basic law and order problems.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Vishnu, for joining us with those details. Now, switching tracks from Canada to the United States, and the most significant appointment yet for India from the incoming administration of President-elect Donald Trump who's announced Mike Waltz, a congressman from Florida who is a co-chair of the India caucus, as his new national security advisor. He's been a forceful critic of President Joe Biden's foreign policy. He has raised and praised Trump for pushing NATO allies to spend more on defense, but unlike the president-elect, has not suggested the US pull out of the alliance. Trump has also picked Stefanik, a critic of the United Nations and a hawkish supporter of Israel, as his ambassador to the United Nations. And let's just get you the very latest. It's going to be IFFI, the International Film Festival, which is going to be taking place in Goa from the 20th. And it's Better Man, a semi-autobiographical film about British pop singer Robbie Williams that will be opening the 55th International Film Festival of India. It is a festival that will start on the 20th and it will carry on till the 28th of November in Goa. It's going to have 180 international films that are going to be shown during those 8 days from 81 countries, including 15 world premieres, and we're talking about over 100 Indian films that are also going to be showcased during that event. And this is the 55th International Film Festival of India that's set to honor cinematic legends, including A&R, amongst others. So a lot to look forward to as far as those movie premieres are concerned.
Film's only 5% of what people view. There are so many other technologies that are coming in. There's so many others. I know that short form video, only 5% of our population views film. So we have a responsibility to nurture this idea. Theatrical film is becoming less and less important. But we need to keep this idea of theatrical film. It's something that we need to nurture without actually saying that it's the only important thing. Because storytelling is everything. I can sit here and give you a 30-second video and I'll tell you a story. If I cannot tell you a story in a 30-second video, if I cannot tell you a story in 5 minutes or 1 minute, then nobody's going to remember, nobody's going to listen.
सिक्योरिटी अरेंजमेंट्स के लिए एक रिव्यू मीटिंग वहीं ओल्ड गोवा वेन्यू पे हम लोगों ने किया था. एक तो कोई ऐसा एंटी नेशनल एलिमेंट्स जिनकी तरफ से कोई ना कोई इसमें मिसचीफ करने की संभावना हो सकती है, इसलिए एंटी टेररिस्ट पॉइंट से किस तरह से हम पूरे वेन्यू को और वहाँ आने वाले लोगों को सेफ रख सके, वो एक इम्पॉर्टेंट मुद्दा जिसके ऊपर चर्चा हुई. दूसरा, जो जब गैदरिंग ज़्यादा होती है इस तरह की, उसमें जो पेटी क्रिमिनल्स हैं वो भी बहुत एक्टिव हो जाते हैं और किसी न किसी तरह के छोटे मोटे क्राइम करने के इश्यूज रहते हैं. तो इसमें भी जो लोकल पुलिस की तरफ से वहाँ वेन्यू पे क्या इंतजाम होने चाहिए. और तीसरी चीज़, जो स्मूथ ट्रैफिक अरेंजमेंट्स किस तरीके से हो ताकि वहाँ पार्किंग की व्यवस्था अच्छी हो.
And defending the Himalayan frontier in Ladakh means deploying heavy weapons in tiny posts, often bunkers made of rock fortifications at impossibly high areas. These are videos that have emerged of the army jawans deployed in the Kargil Dras sector of Ladakh, lugging up an air defense gun weighing more than a ton to these heights, over 17,000 feet we're talking about here. The gun used to target Pakistan posts along the line of control is too heavy to be heli-lifted at those areas, which is why nothing replaces the physical strength, the stamina and the determination of the army jawans in lugging up the weapon. And it's that time when Tom Cruise, who has gone ahead and shared the trailer of his latest film. We're talking about Mission Impossible. The film has come out with its trailer. This is Tom Cruise's 8th Mission Impossible movie that's finally been revealed along with the first trailer. The Final Reckoning is now the official title for Mission Impossible 8, which was originally slated to be part 2 to 2023's Dead Reckoning. It's scheduled to release in May of next year. The film originally was set for 2022 but was delayed because of the pandemic. And in the trailer you can see Tom Cruise doing what he does best, well, of course, hanging off airplanes, dispatching bad guys, running real fast. And of course there at the end he's gonna to say that this is that you need to trust me one last time. So this seems to be the final installment as far as Mission Impossible is concerned.
You refuse to sacrifice the ones you hold close.
And with that, we're slipping in a very short break. News and updates will continue on the other side. To stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
And the social media message of the day is by Prime Minister Modi, who has gone on to say, glad to meet Russia's first Deputy Prime Minister. Happy to see that teams on both sides are working together to implement decisions taken during the recent visits and meetings with President Vladimir Putin to further strengthen the special and privileged strategic partnership between India and Russia.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president.
Donald triumphs. What does Trump's win mean for America, for the world, for the wars, and for India-US relations? Non-stop coverage on NDTV. Top analysts and voices from the ground. Extensive coverage on NDTV.
We reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well.
Man accused of threatening Shah Rukh Khan has been arrested. Police has said Mohammad Faizan Khan, a lawyer, was arrested from his residence in Chhattisgarh, Raipur, is what we're being told at the moment. As per sources, the Enforcement Directorate is raiding multiple locations in Kolbhaut, Jharkhand, apart from West Bengal, in a money laundering investigation linked to alleged illegal infiltration of Bangladeshi nationals. Maharashtra campaign enters the final phase in Maharashtra. Both camps roll out their big guns in a last-ditch effort. The toxic air challenge in the biggest metros, Delhi and Mumbai, witnessed a slight improvement in the overall air quality this morning. However, several areas like Wazirpur in the national capital still persisted with the severe air pollution with an AQI score of nearly 400. Amid fears of an extremely high level of violent protest, the Brampton Triveni Mandir and Community Centre has cancelled a life certificate event. The event, which was a consular camp, was scheduled to take place on the 17th of November, where Indian origin Hindus and Sikhs could renew essential life certificates. It's 10 a.m. You are watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Parmeshwar Bhava. A big focus at the moment. A man has been arrested for threatening Bollywood actor Shah Rukh Khan. Police has confirmed now. Mohammad Faizan Khan, a lawyer, was arrested from his residence in Chhattisgarh, Raipur, for making a threat call to the actor and also demanding 50 lakh rupees. As per the latest details that my colleague Radhika Ramaswamy has shared, he was arrested after he failed to appear before the Mumbai police. Let's go across to Radhika Ramaswamy for the latest details. Radhika, what details can you disclose to our viewers currently?
That's right. The man who allegedly threatened Shah Rukh Khan has been arrested. In fact, it was a call that was received by Bandra police just a few days ago, in which the caller asked for rupees 50 lakh in a ransom and said that if he doesn't receive the money, he will kill the actor, and identified himself as Hindustani. Of course, further investigations reveal that this is a lawyer from Raipur, Chhattisgarh, after which, of course, the police teams were deployed from Bandra. They reached Raipur this morning. They had been questioning this man as well. Faizan Khan, in fact, had informed Mumbai police, post the case was registered, that he won't be in a position to get to Mumbai as there is threat to his life, and that he would virtually be a part of interrogation session with the police. However, the Mumbai police there in Chhattisgarh making that arrest and also seeking transit remand. Of course, he will be produced before a court there, after which he will be brought to Mumbai and questioned by the Bandra police. The man, Faizan in question, had earlier said that his phone was stolen and it was not him that issued that threat to Shah Rukh Khan. But we know for a fact that there is a history as far as this individual, Faizan Khan, is concerned. He had earlier too complained against the actor over a film's dialogue that it led to enmity between two communities. It hurt sentiments of people and so on. So therefore, there is an acrimonious history as far as this man with SRK is concerned. So now, of course, this
Radhika,
man has been arrested. But does he have any
interrupting
connection
you?
to any
We also
gang
have
member?
with us the ex-additional DGP from Maharashtra, PK Jain, over the phone line. Radhika, please do stay on with us while I revert to you. Mr. Jain, a threat after threat, first with a series of threats as far as actor Salman Khan is concerned, then Shah Rukh Khan. The fortunate thing is one person has been arrested, but what exactly can law enforcement do to sort of tackle this issue?
Ji, namaskar. Thank you so much for asking me for my reaction. My reaction is very simple. See, there was some threat to Salman Khan from a particular gang. Now, taking advantage of that threat and some actions which were taken to further that threat, a number of other people have started making hoax calls to the Mumbai police and to all over the place. I think we should play these incidents down. Do not give them publicity, because the moment you start giving them publicity, more and more people get attracted. They think that they can get away with this kind of a prank. So these hoax calls will also dilute the police threat perception, in the sense that once the police personnel become used to this kind of a threat, then sometimes this can be very fatal, and the next attempt can be very fatal. So I think the police department per se, the ones who receive the threat, they should play it down, keep it to themselves, investigate the case and take proper action against the person concerned. But publicizing this will only aggravate their own problems, because more and more people will think that they can make hoax calls and get away with it.
Mr. Jain, thanks so much for joining us with your quick comments. Well, Radhika, that has been brought up as well, the fact that many may be taking advantage and misusing the opportunity to issue these death threats. But are we aware of the time that the cops will produce the accused in court today?
Most likely at 11 is when this man will be produced before a court in Raipur, after which, of course, there will be a transit remand that will be sought, and then he will be brought to Bandra, where he will be questioned in detail as to what exactly drove him to perhaps make this call, and whether there was anybody else behind this call. Was he associated with any gang member? Was there any association to Lawrence Bishnoi gang? Is something that the police will try to find out. And yes, as the former top cop is pointing at, not all calls could be genuine or rather could have any sort of connection with any gang. It could be hoax calls, it could be mischief calls, it could be some pranksters trying to gain attention, especially since Baba Siddiqui murder case. Mumbai police not taking any of these calls lightly. We know that Salman Khan received at least 4 calls in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, and several of them were, people from different parts of the country, either vegetable sellers or, daily wage workers, people arrested from Karnataka, from Noida, from some parts of UP, and they did not have any direct associations with any of the gang. Of course, investigations are still going on as to ascertain if at all they had any sort of allegiance to gang members, but that is something that has not been proven. So clearly means that these are callers, who are trying to gain some sort of attention, and also because driven by, multiple calls, an escalation of sorts that we've been seeing over the last several weeks, and 4 calls at least being made to Salman Khan in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Now, of course, Shah Rukh Khan also received a similar threat, but people are being arrested. But really, will these call nuisance end in the days to come? Are these callers, do they have any sort of allegiance or association with any gang member, or are these mischief calls? And how the Mumbai police decides to tackle many of these callers, that is something that we'll have to wait and watch out for. But at this point, yes, a man has been arrested. Now, what his association? Does he have any association with any gang member? What his motivations were? Who drove him to make that particular call to target Shah Rukh Khan? All that is a matter of investigation. But as I said earlier, this has definitely increased the headache for Mumbai police ever since the threat was received by Salman Khan, genuine threat by Lawrence Bishnoi gang members, and of course the firing outside his residence, and then of course Baba Siddiqui murder. It's only escalating and the calls are only increasing. So it is really difficult to differentiate between the callers who, who have any sort of association with any gang members, who really want to allegedly hurt any of these actors, or the ones who are just doing this to gain attention. That, differentiation is something that the Mumbai police is finding it difficult to do at this point, but no calls being taken lightly and arrests being made as far as many of these threat calls are concerned.
Right. While the investigation is underway, last October, Radhika, the Mumbai police had upped Shah Rukh Khan's protective cover, giving him Y+ security cover. As things stand right now, what is the security cover that Shah Rukh Khan has?
That's right. Shah Rukh Khan also has the Y+ security. So does Salman Khan. This after a series of threats Salman Khan received and the firing outside his residence. Although his security for quite some time had been Y+, I'm talking about Salman Khan, the number of cops within the security apparatus increased. Even for Shah Rukh Khan, as a result of some threats issued with respect to his film last year, his security was also enhanced. So yes, both the actors enjoy the highest security, over the last couple of years at least. But yes, security being enhanced as far as both the actors are concerned, and especially after Baba Siddiqui murder. We know that both Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan have had close associations and relations with Baba Siddiqui, and which is why the security has been enhanced, and which is why Mumbai police not taking any of these callers, threats and messages lightly. Right. Remains to be seen what the investigations will further reveal.
As always, Radhika, thank you so much for joining us with the latest information you've accessed. With that, let's get you the other big story we're tracking. The Enforcement Directorate is raiding multiple locations in poll-bound Jharkhand, apart from West Bengal, in a money laundering investigation linked to alleged illegal infiltration of Bangladeshi nationals, as per our sources. In fact, I can inform you that a total of 17 places are being covered in the 2 neighboring states by the Jharkhand office of the Federal Probe Agency. The JMM has called these ED raids political vendetta and an attempt to set a narrative. Prabhakar is with us, tracking the finer details at the moment. Prabhakar, we know that the Enforcement Directorate is raiding 17 sites. What further details can you disclose at the moment?
Yeah, the ED raids are continuing in 2 states, that is West Bengal and Jharkhand, and 7 locations in Jharkhand are being raided as we speak, and those are the locations where the ED claims the agencies involved in actually helping the illegal immigrants, especially the illegal Bangladeshi immigrants settled in Jharkhand. So there were agencies, there were companies who were involved in it, who were actually securing forged documents for those illegal immigrants and helping them actually sneak into Jharkhand, settle here with so-called legitimate documents which they were procuring for them. So those are the agencies which are being raided as we speak. And remember, the tone for this had been set by Amit Shah when he was in Ranchi around 10 days back and releasing the BJP's manifesto called Sankalp Patra, and then he had talked about how the illegal immigrants are being helped to settle in Jharkhand with the help of the JMM and the Congress government. That's the reason why the JMM is calling it a political vendetta, because JMM believes that this kind of attack is actually would harm their interest and would kind of go against their perception. BJP has been alleging that JMM is helping out the illegal immigrants settle in Jharkhand and treating them as a vote bank. BJP also in its manifesto has said that if it is voted back to power, they would screen them out and they would throw them out of Jharkhand. And these sentiments were echoed by Prime Minister himself. And as he spoke 2 days back in Jharkhand, today we are seeing the Central Agency ED in action on the ground now.
In fact, Prabhakar, the opposition has also been raising questions regarding the timing of these raids.
Exactly. Jharkhand is a poll-bound state. We all know that. The campaign is full on, in full swing, and tomorrow happens to be the first phase of poll when 43 assembly constituencies of Jharkhand are going to polls. The first phase will happen tomorrow, and then we have the second phase on 20th. So the timing of these raids are very critical. Now, what the JMM is alleging that it is actually these raids are conducted a day before the polling happens to create a perception against JMM and the Congress combined, against the India bloc combined, and that is what they are alleging. Whereas, if you talk to the BJP sources or the leaders of the NDA alliance, they are saying that it's a very routine raid, and this was one issue which the central agencies have been investigating. We have been talking about it, and now it has nothing to do with the elections. This is a routine raid which the ED has chosen today actually to conduct these raids.
As always, Prabhakar, thanks so much for joining us with the latest information. Let's turn our attention now to Maharashtra, where the poll heat is rising. Prime Minister Modi, Amit Shah and Rahul Gandhi are all set to campaign in the state today. Now, while the Prime Minister is scheduled to hold rallies in Chimur, Solapur and Pune, Amit Shah will be holding meets and rallies in Mumbai this evening. Meanwhile, Rahul Gandhi will hold public meetings in Buldana and Gondia, and all this in the backdrop of campaign and guarantee wars between political parties and the warring factions. BJP's Ek Hain to Safe Hain campaign has led to sharp criticism from the Congress party, accusing the BJP of inciting divisions in society. The Bharatiya Janata Party, however, says this slogan is a response to Congress for allegedly engaging in divisive politics to create rifts, especially among backward classes. But campaign blitz in Maharashtra, the poll heat is rising with the Prime Minister, the Home Minister and Rahul Gandhi all set to campaign in Maharashtra today. My colleague Radhika Ramaswamy has been tracking all the action as far as battleground Maharashtra is concerned. She joins us live with an update on this story as well. Radhika, for the Mahayuti, the Prime Minister, Amit Shah are expected to campaign and Rahul Gandhi expected to hold 2 rallies today.
That's right. Campaign blitz as far as Maharashtra is concerned. Not the first time that Prime Minister Modi, Shah and Rahul Gandhi are going to be in Maharashtra, but all these 3 leaders on the same day in different parts of Maharashtra. These are places in Chimur, Solapur and Pune where Prime Minister will be holding rallies, largely Vidarbha regions, and Amit Shah will be in Mumbai this evening, and Rahul Gandhi also largely in Vidarbha regions, which are Buldana and Gondia. Of course, the Ek Hai to Safe Hai campaign is something that is a talking point as far as the BJP is concerned, something that the Prime Minister Modi did raise, and we did see massive advertisements yesterday as far as this entire campaign strategy of the BJP is concerned, which they say is to forge unity. However, the Congress party there are criticizing the BJP for this campaign, saying that it is only going to polarize communities. BJP saying that this is a response to Congress party, which has been playing divisive politics over the last several years, trying to divide inside communities. So yes, there is a lot of caste dynamics at play as far as Maharashtra is concerned. We know for a fact that Vidarbha regions, which both the Prime Minister and Rahul Gandhi are visiting, is seeing a lot of farmers' distress. There had been a lot of guarantees promised by both MV as well as Mahayuti, be it directed at farmers, be it directed at youth or women. Guarantees versus guarantees is what we saw over the last several weeks, and a lot of copycat promises and guarantees also. How much of those guarantees are feasible, how much that will really affect the exchequer, all that is something that, that will be discussed at a later point, but certainly a lot of promises are being guaranteed to the voters just ahead of elections, and campaign versus campaigns also being played on the ground in different parts of Maharashtra. But we'll have to see how Prime Minister Modi, Amit Shah, especially Prime Minister Modi and Rahul Gandhi, since they are going to be largely in Vidarbha regions, address the farmers' distress, as that will be a very, very important conversation as far as these top ministers are concerned in the days to come, as agrarian distress is being witnessed in many regions, including Vidarbha as well as Marathwada and Maharashtra.
As always, Radhika, thanks so much for highlighting all the pertinent issues from battleground Maharashtra. Meanwhile, Delhi and Mumbai actually witnessed a slight improvement in the air quality this morning. However, several areas like Wazirpur in the national capital still persisted with severe air pollution, with an AQI score above 400, while many areas across the national capital region were in the very poor category. New Delhi, followed by Muzaffarpur, Sonipat, Ghaziabad, Saharsa and Chandigarh remain the top 10 most polluted cities in India. But as far as Mumbai and Delhi are concerned, both cities continue to be engulfed in smog early today, limiting visibility and causing problems for the residents locally. Let's take a quick stock on what's happening as far as Mumbai is concerned with Anuj. He's with us live at the moment. Anuj, this morning we saw visuals coming in from Marine Drive where we could see a thick layer of smog. What is the state of affairs at the moment? How toxic is the air where you are?
I would like to show you the state of affairs here. I'm standing at the entry point of the Bandra-Worli Sea Link, and my camera person is zooming in the Worli region of the city, and this is a gateway to the southern part of the city, considered to be relatively cleaner when it comes to air quality. But you can see that the smog which usually engulfed the city and has been doing it for the last 1.5 months in the early hours of the morning, and then situation eventually gets better as we inch closer to the noon, does not seem to be happening in the last few days. Although, speaking about numbers, relatively the air quality has improved a little bit, because the air quality index, on that particular parameter, Mumbai stood at 150, 152 in the morning, which falls in the category of moderate, moderate quality. But then the pollutants in the air are spreading across the city, and we are seeing that earlier what was the case is not the case now. When I say that, I mean that, earlier we would see that regions like Andheri, regions like Bandra, Kandivali, Kolaba, all of these were the pockets which would experience way worse air quality as compared to the several other regions. But what we're experiencing in the last couple of days is that the air quality across the city is coming down, and that is going to be a challenge in front of the authorities. This, especially happening during the poll season, is another challenge in front of the BMC, because all the guidelines which were introduced by the BMC to counter the rising air pollution in the city in the last 12 months will be tested now, because the majority of the BMC volunteers are busy with the poll work. We saw how the BMC is very, is very importantly looking at the elections. They're looking at increasing the voter turnout in certain pockets of the city, and that is where the majority of their attention will be. But at the same time, we are seeing that they are trying to, have sprinklers in different parts of the city, just so that air quality can become a little better than what was the case a few months ago. But, it is showing little to less results, at least as of now, and the situation is expected to become slightly worse as we approach December.
As always, Anuj, thanks so much for joining us with that ground update. It's going to get worse before it gets better as far as Mumbai is concerned. But in terms of Delhi, the Supreme Court had sharp words for the Delhi police and demanded immediate action to stop the sale and bursting of firecrackers as well, because an annual activity, it defies the existing ban. And even days after Diwali, we're observing sharply high rates of toxicity as far as the air is concerned. Areas like Wazirpur in the National Capital Region recorded the severe air quality this morning. Many areas around the National Capital were actually in the very poor category. Shreya Ghosh went around to take a stock as far as the National Capital is concerned. Listen into her report.
Well, the Delhi's air quality continues to plummet, turning this fight for clean air into a full-blown public health crisis. We have not seen a single good air day in this entire year. And ever since Diwali, the AQI has been consistently in the very poor category. Today as well, the AQI is hovering somewhere around 335, which is of course in the very poor to severe category. And some of the densely populated areas like Jahangirpuri, Anand Vihar, Rohini has recorded over 400 AQI, which is extremely hazardous for people's health. It can cause severe breathing and respiratory issues, which can later, of course, develop into serious ailments like COPD, and vulnerable people like the senior citizens, pregnant women and young children are more susceptible to developing pollution-related illnesses. And right now, let me tell you that I am in Noida, and we know that Noida, Greater Noida areas have recorded slightly better AQI than Delhi, but it still reels under poor air quality. And recently we have seen this anti-smog tower, which is the single and largest anti-smog tower in Noida that was installed back in 2021, has been removed, and it has left the residents and environmentalists questioning the whole effectiveness of this particular anti-smog gun and the transparency about its future, because it has been abruptly removed, overlooking the potential effect on the residents here, the potential effects of the pollution on the residents, because of course the anti-smog tower was installed to curb the pollution levels and provide cleaner air for people to breathe. But if we talk about Delhi, we know that yesterday the Supreme Court has lashed out at the Delhi government and asked the Delhi government to give a permanent solution to this increasing pollution levels and the ineffectiveness of this cracker ban. By November 25th, the Delhi government has to give a permanent solution to the court, and other than that, we know the main culprits of this pollution is vehicular emission, for which the Commission for Air Quality Management has urged MCD officials to increase parking fee to enforce that all the cars have pollution under control norms, and they are also stop the end of life vehicles, which are old vehicles. So these kind of small reactive measures have been taken to curb vehicular pollution, which is the largest contribution to air pollution in the national capital. With camera person Arun Negi, this is Shreya for NDTV Delhi.
Well, in other news, filmmaker Ram Gopal Varma has been booked in Prakasam district for allegedly posting morphed images of Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu and Deputy Chief Minister Pawan Kalyan on social media during Vyuham's promotions. The complaint was filed by TDP Mandal Secretary Ramalingam, accusing Ram Gopal Varma of tarnishing the reputation of several TDP leaders, including Chief Minister Naidu, his son Nara Lokesh, his daughter-in-law Brahmani, and other Telugu Desam party members. Uma Sudhir reports.
So filmmaker Ram Gopal Varma has been known to be a long-time critic of Chandrababu Naidu and his family members as well. And he had in fact made a film called Vyuham just before the elections and released it just before the simultaneous elections to both Assembly and Parliament in Andhra Pradesh, in which he had kind of mocked, criticized, or should I say made caricatures of Chandrababu Naidu, his son Lokesh, his daughter-in-law Brahmani. All of them were featuring in that particular film, or rather it seemed like they were being featured in that film and being made fun of. And over a period of time, he has always been a critic of Chandrababu Naidu and been seen, in fact, as a supporter of the YSRCP. And in the earlier, he had also made Lakshmi's NTR about Lakshmi Parvati, who was the wife of was wife of N.T. Ramarao. And at that time, the 1995 coup, all of that he had picturized in a film, and it was showing Mr. Chandrababu Naidu in a negative light. The present FIR now has fueled speculation whether he would be arrested, but this must be seen as the larger crackdown that the coalition government in Andhra Pradesh is taking up on social media harassment, cyber stalking, as well as cyber kind of derogatory comments that are made on social media as well. And many YSRCP activists and also some TDP activists have been taken to book for this, and some of the so-called social media influencers who are supporters of YSRCP, including an actress, have in fact put out videos publicly apologizing for the content that they had put out earlier and saying that they had done it on the directions of the political leadership of that time. And therefore, the kind of crackdown that is happening on social media in Andhra Pradesh, also taking in someone like Ram Gopal Varma. There are other people as well who are seen as celebrities, Sri Reddy and others, who may also face similar action from the government, from the law enforcement agencies, because the case has been booked under the IT Act. Back to you.
Well, switching tracks, the Kerala government has suspended IAS officers K. Gopalakrishnan and N. Prasant for violation of discipline. Now, while Mr. Gopalakrishnan was suspended for creating a religion-based WhatsApp group of government officials, action was taken against Prasant for criticizing a senior IAS officer on social media. Now, though Gopalakrishnan maintained that his mobile phones were hacked and 11 WhatsApp groups were formed from his WhatsApp account without his knowledge, a preliminary inquiry of the police did not find any evidence of phone hacking. Uma Sudhir joins you with the lowdown.
So this was on the basis of a report that was submitted by the Chief Secretary Sarada Muralidharan, who has found this as misconduct and violation of service rules and insubordination in the service. K. Gopalakrishnan is a 2013 batch officer who was the director, or who is the director of the Industries and Commerce Department, and he has been suspended for making allegedly religious groups, Hindu, Mallu Hindu officers, and he also subsequently created something called Mallu Muslim officers, and he has in fact complained to the police, saying that his phone had been hacked and these groups had been made by others, whereas the police complaint is that he had created these groups on the 30th of October, and subsequently when some officers who were also added to the group complained or brought this to the authorities saying that this is inappropriate, that's when the cases have now been filed after an inquiry that was conducted, saying that this is divisive and not expected of officers belonging to the services. The second case is of N. Prashant, who is a 2017 batch officer and Special Chief Secretary in the Agriculture Department, and he has had a run-in with his senior and additional Chief Secretary, who had in fact reportedly given some reports on a scheme called Unnati, and some files had gone missing, and Prashant was blamed for it. And Prashant is saying that he's in fact played the role of a whistleblower by speaking out on social media against this particular officer, who he says has ruined the lives of several officers who did not follow his directives or did not listen to what he asked them to do. So in that sense, a battle in fact has been set between these two officers and the establishment.
In other news, oil prices fell by more than 2% on Monday after China's latest stimulus plan disappointed investors seeking demand growth in the world's second biggest oil consumer, while supply looked set to rise in 2025. In fact, analysts are warning that Donald Trump's US election victory may continue to affect the market. Sakshi Bajaj tells you why.
Oil prices declining over 2% in overnight trade, both Brent and WTI prices declining sharply in trade. First, for our viewers to understand, why have these prices declined? Now, China announced a stimulus measure, a measure essentially to boost their economy at large, and investors seem disappointed with that. Remember, China is the world's second largest oil consumer, and therefore now experts feel that demand will be weaker coming from China, and therefore that's one of the reasons we've seen prices decline. The other reason we've seen prices decline is the threat to the US storm that earlier was seeming large has now eased. So that's the second key reason why oil prices have declined in overnight trade. Now, what is interesting to note here as far as historical trends are concerned, remember, winter demand usually causes prices to rise, and this reversal is of course interesting to wait and watch out for. As far as oil importing nations are concerned, for India this is great news if this trend continues at large.
As always, news and updates continue right here on NDTV in a moment, right after this very short break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
On X, Narendra Modi has posted saying, glad to meet Russia's first Deputy Prime Minister, Denis Manturov, today. Happy to see that teams on both sides are working together to implement decisions taken during my recent visits and meetings with President Putin to further strengthen India-Russia special and privileged strategic partnership.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
In the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility, according to the prestigious Reuters Institute's digital news report.
Welcome back. Amid fears of extremely high level of violent protests, Brampton Triveni Community Centre has cancelled life certificate event that was actually scheduled to take place on the 17th of November. A temple in Canada's Brampton has now cancelled an Indian consulate event after police cited significant security threats amid the ongoing protests and tensions that have erupted following a recent pro-Khalistani attack in that area. In fact, there's been an open letter as well. But to tell us more about what's happening, we have with us Mohammed Ghazali. Ghazali, what details can you disclose at the moment?
So the Indian Consulate Services were scheduled to organize a life certificate camp, a camp where the NRIs or the Indians could avail their services and provide life certificates. Basically, this life certificate is a document which pension holders submitted in their respective banks to avail the pension to prove that they are alive. So NRIs who are staying in foreign countries, generally the High Commission there or the embassy there holds these services camps to ensure that NRIs can furnish those documents in the foreign land and hence their services are uninterrupted. But with the developments which have happened in Canada for the last 1 week, where we saw the secessionists disrupting these camps, one which happened in one of the temples there in Canada just a week ago, considering that situation, the Peel police, the local police in Brampton, has now has informed a temple where this services camp was scheduled to cancel it, owing to the danger or kind of risk involved, because they had these intelligence inputs that perhaps these separatist elements will yet again come over there, protest, heckle, and it will eventually turn ugly and violence will be created. So considering the law and order situation, the local police suggested the Brampton temple authorities not to conduct these services, and that is why that has been postponed yet. Now, this is not only just a law and order situation which is developing there in Canada, Parmeshwar, but also it is a big loss for the Indian community there, because this was a routine affair which used to happen every year in the month of November and December. But these services are getting interrupted, these services are getting disrupted, and then yet again, it's a threat to the Indian community. Two communities from India are against each other. It is as if being made out as if it's Hindus versus Sikhs, but there are certain elements from both sides which are against each other. They are making hate speeches. The Canadian police have made several arrests in the previous incidents, but the situation still remains tense. The External Affairs Ministry of the Indian government is keeping an eye on the developments there.
Right.
They are more concerned about the safety of the Indian community.
As always, Ghazali, thanks so much for joining us with the latest on what's happening in Brampton. Meanwhile, a recent study has highlighted the risks that artificial intelligence poses to the integrity of education. It has raised concerns about its potential misuse in academic settings specifically, and it underscores the need for institutions to address the growing threat of AI-assisted cheating methods. As far as the AI dilemma in classrooms is concerned, is it a friend or a foe? Well, we spoke to some experts from the industry. Here's what they told us earlier today.
Ritvika, in an academic setting, what are the potential risks that artificial intelligence can pose?
Hi. So, like you rightly said in, when you opened this entire segment, you were talking about there is this fear that students are going to cheat. Students are going to rely too much on AI, for doing the thinking on assignments that they're supposed to do independently. I think given the rate at which AI is growing and AI is improving right now, I think one can understand that particular risk when it comes to student work and student learning.
All right, let's also bring in Raghav Agarwal, co-founder of Fluid AI. Mr. Agarwal, my question is, as AI continues to evolve, do you think this challenge will become harder for educators to address? I mean, how can education systems adapt to maintain academic integrity in the AI-driven future? Because AI is not going to go anywhere. It's only going to become advanced. So do you think it will become even more hard for education system, for educators to address in the years to come?
Yeah, so I think one thing is this is like a fundamental shift, right, in how the world works. So I think what educators will need to do is the assessments now cannot be like the assessments of the past, right? I think we were working with one college wherein the professor has now made the assessment a skit. So it's something, a play that the students are performing rather than the traditional case study, because you're like, that's something ChatGPT can do. But the emotion, the creativity, the presentation of a skit is still something that needs that human element. So I think what we need to be aware of is that we need to enable students to use AI effectively, disclose when they are using AI, if it's part, if it's full, etc. And third, be creative in our assessment so that we really can test the students still, because the old way of assessment is not going to work anymore.
Let me also get Ms. Zinia Behel on this. Ms. Behel, of course, there are global norms now coming up as far as AI regulation is concerned. But at what level do we need this regulation? At this, as far as AI in an academic setting is concerned, does it need to be more awareness-based, or do you think there has to be some sort of punitive measures that need to be brought in as well?
So it's a very interesting question, and let me start with one thing, right? We talked about the threat. I want to clarify one thing. AI in itself is not a threat, and AI is a very broad term. It covers machine learning, it covers neural networks, it covers large language models, and all of them serve a specific purpose, right? When you talk about academia and when you talk about the threat to sort of the education sector or threat in the education sector that has posed because of AI. That's specifically related to plagiarism and using AI to submit essays. While universities such as mine, we have tools. An example is Turnitin to catch plagiarism, right? But AI and generative AI keeps getting better, right? Your neural networks improve based on the data that's fed into it. And over time, you have seen the capabilities of AI with deepfake in elections, right? Being able to imitate Taylor Swift, Joe Biden, and all of that. So AI will continue to get better, and technologies have to catch up to be able to detect AI in papers, in other submissions.
Mr. Agarwal, how can educators or perhaps institutions detect when AI has been used to complete coursework or assignments? Are there reliable tools or methods? We know that AI is an opportunity, it's not all threat, but are there tools or methods perhaps that can be devised, or is there to distinguish AI generated work with genuine coursework?
No, I think that's a problem we've been grappling with since ChatGPT came, right, in 22. Is the detection good enough? And there are a lot of tools which are claiming that they can do it, but it's a hit and a miss, right? Because a lot of times you are seeing, like even in the testing, you are submitting human-related, it's saying it's AI-related, and that kind of false positive can sort of be really demotivating to a student, right? So there's nothing that's 100% accurate. I think most of the tools out there are on a continuum of accuracy, some more accurate than others, but there's nothing that says it's 100%. So I think a lot of this is not about the tooling per se. It's about a culture, about an ethical framework, wherein we sort of tell our students that, yes, you will have these tools throughout life and they're going to get better and better, but you need to sort of have the skill set to do it on your own, and you need to have the wherewithal to tell what you have used, when you have used it.
Meanwhile, the Arab-Islamic Summit kicked off yesterday afternoon on the 11th of November in the Saudi Arabia capital, Riyadh, to discuss Israel's ongoing war in the Gaza Strip and Lebanon. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman demanded Israel stop its military aggression in Gaza and Lebanon. This was in his opening address before Arab leaders, referencing, and I quote, Israel's genocide of Palestinians. His comments came just days after Qatar stopped mediating negotiations, temporarily though, between Israel and Hamas because of both sides' unwillingness to engage constructively. But Saudi Arabia has been careful to present a unified Arab front when it comes to the Palestinian cause. One expert on record, making Riyadh unlikely to fill in as chief mediator, has actually said. But the incoming Trump administration will likely pressure the kingdom to normalize relations with Israel. But those talks are foundering, with the United States and Saudi Arabia now discussing a bilateral security deal, as per multiple reports. But let's turn our attention to the other crucial story we're tracking. This year, the world is on pace for 1.5 degrees of warming and is headed to become the hottest year in human civilization. 2024 is on track to be the hottest year in history, with temperatures hitting shocking new highs, the World Met Organization has just warned. In fact, a report released on the opening day of the UN Climate Change Conference, COP29, that reveals that from January to September, the global average temperature soared 1.54 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. This alarming spike, driven by a fierce El Nino and the relentless rise in greenhouse gas emissions, is now pushing our planet past dangerous tipping points, and the consequences are already unfolding. The clock is ticking on climate change, and the heat is only rising. Just listen in to what the World Met Organization's Secretary General had to say.
And this is another SOS to the planet. The State of Climate Update confirms that 2024 is on track to be the hottest year on record, hotter even than 2023, which smashed all previous records. 2015-2024 will be the warmest 10 years on record. The pace of climate change in the space of just one generation is alarming.
And joining us for further clarity, we have with us climate change expert Nagraj Adve. Thank you so much, sir, for making time for us on the World 24/7. A crucial aspect is the unprecedented temperature increase, right? I mean, the average global temperature for the first 9 months of 2024 exceeded the pre-industrial level by 1.5 degrees Celsius. Mr. Adve, take us through the stark findings of this latest report.
Well, this latest report is an update on the report that they had a few weeks ago, and it touches upon the core of climate science and its impacts. So, for instance, it covers the levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere in 2023, which was 420 parts per million. And it also covers as you just mentioned, the average rate of warming in the last 9 months, which is about over 1.5 degrees. It talks very worryingly about, so you see a lot of the heat trapped by greenhouse gases goes into the oceans. And this report tells us that over the last 15 years, it has trapped the heat equal to 18 times the world's entire energy consumption. It's not just electricity consumption, it is all the energy consumption. That is to say, besides electricity, your cars, your industries, your ACs, everything all over the world, 18 times has gone in the oceans. It talks about the loss of glaciers, which is equal to the water of 5 times the volume of the Dead Sea. We are talking about massive, massive kind of changes and impacts. And what's also worrying, I should point to two things, which maybe the report doesn't talk about, is the fact that last year in 2023, the land sinks, that is to say the forests, trees, grasslands, etc., which normally take in about 8 billion tons of carbon dioxide, hardly took in any at all. It was close to zero. So what that implies is that 8 billion stays in the atmosphere, causing much further warming. That's really, really worrying. And secondly, we've got these massive ecosystems and ocean currents that are slowing down, whose impacts are even beyond our imagination, and in particular, an Atlantic current called the AMOC. So this year has been just terribly worrying, and this report and this update released yesterday sort of captures the essence of what's going on.
It is rather alarming indeed. Mr. Adve, one cannot ignore, though, that a backdrop of war and upheaval also hangs over the talks that are happening in Azerbaijan as we speak. As things stand, would you say we are on the road to ruin?
Well, I wouldn't like to use the word ruin because it has a kind of doomsday aspect about it. We certainly are on a very, very grave road. Crossing 1.5 degrees is no joke because every 0.1 degrees of warming means accelerating impacts. It means that if we stay at 1.5 degrees of fire. So let me just point out that this temperature in the report also includes a slight factor of the El Nino, which is this Pacific Ocean current, which also contributes to warming, but only contributes to a degree. For example, the last time of the El Nino in 2016, which was even stronger than the current one we just got over, despite that, it was much less warm. So actually, it is global warming that's underlying factor. Now, next year, when the effects of the El Nino kind of wear off, what will happen is that the average rate of warming will come down, but it will come down only slightly. Right. After the last El Nino, global temperatures only fell by about 0.1 degrees Celsius. Now, we are going to unavoidably cross 1.5. Now, the problem is actually that for certain ecosystems, if you stay at 1.5 for a sustained period of time, it tips them over into completely new states. And that is just deeply worrying. It means that they will not recover, like the Arctic ice, and they will not recover into their current state for the foreseeable future. And when I say foreseeable future, I'm talking of thousands of years. Right. In addition, an average one, so far we've been talking about averages, but we have to keep in mind that an average temperature of 1.5 means a much higher temperature for regions like the Himalaya. So 1.5 globally means for much of the Himalayan regions, something like 2.5 degrees Celsius. So, and higher than 1.5 means an even higher impact in the Himalayan range, which is already seen, a loss of glaciers, drying of streams, etc., which impacts ordinary people, including women in different states.
I think we all agree that urgent action is needed. In fact, we've been talking about this year on year. COP29 climate summits have happened year on year. In fact, diplomats have greenlit key rules that govern the trade of carbon credits as well. But critics have warned that the rules were rushed through without following proper process. But thank you so much, Mr. Adve, for joining us with your insight on the World 24/7. Meanwhile, the United Nations annual climate talks got off to a rocky start with more than 9 hours of behind-the-scenes wrangling over the agenda for the next 2 weeks. But once that was settled, the focus actually shifted to the key issue, which is money. But dozens of activists protested inside the COP29 venue in Baku in Azerbaijan, holding banners calling for climate justice, as you can see on your screens, and for nations to stop fueling genocide. Many of them were actually wearing Palestinian keffiyehs. Protesters said that there can be no climate justice without human rights. But so far in Baku, where the world's first oil well was drilled and the scent of fuel still lingers in the air, as many say, the talks have been less about fossil fuels and more about the flow of money. Countries are actually negotiating how wealthy nations can pay poorer ones to help reduce carbon emissions, shift to clean energy, compensate for climate-related disasters, and also adapt to the extreme weather events of the future.
The climate crisis is an existential crisis. 2024 is on track to become the hottest year ever recorded, and last year global greenhouse gas emissions reached an all-time high. And in this moment that the UNFCCC is hosting yet another COP climate meeting in an authoritarian petrostate is beyond absurd.
Now let's turn our attention to the United States. Well, Stephen Miller, an architect of the hardline immigration policies Donald Trump enacted during his first term, appears to be heading back to the White House as the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. In fact, the US President-elect has also appointed Tom Homan, who was one of the main officials behind Trump's family separation policy, as his border czar. By the way, he told Fox News, if sanctuary cities don't want to help us, then get the hell out of the way because we're coming. Trump has also picked Elise Stefanik, a critic of the United Nations and a hawkish supporter of Israel, as his ambassador to the United Nations. And Mike Waltz has now been picked, who's a Florida congressman and co-chair of the India caucus, as Trump's new national security advisor. To make sense of the latest appointments, we have with us journalist Ray Locker. Thanks so much, Ray, for making time for us. Do these appointments clearly signal that the next US administration under Trump's guidance will take a rather tough stance on immigration?
Oh, obviously. I mean, Tom Homan has been talking about this for years, ever since he left the administration in 2021. He was a tough hardliner when he was head of ICE during the first Trump administration. And Stephen Miller has been notorious for backing hardline anti-immigration stands.
Do these appointments also signal that the next US administration will staunchly and publicly oppose any efforts by multilateral bodies to restrain Israel, meanwhile, or risk US funding and support altogether? What are you picking up on?
Well, I think Trump has signaled that he's going to let Israel do whatever it wants. I don't know where Mike Waltz would come in on that, or Elise Stefanik, but I know that she's a hardline Israel supporter, been active in fighting what she perceives as anti-Semitism on college campuses. And she's also a pretty smart person, very well educated, and has evolved from being a moderate during the first Trump administration to a very tough pro-Trump supporter. Mike Waltz is a former Green Beret, worked for Dick Cheney when he was vice president, and so he knows, this very well as well.
Right. In all those, so far, as many argue, Ray, Trump's cabinet picks echo his plans on immigration and Israel primarily. Do you agree, or is there more than that meets the eye?
No, I think immigration is the biggest thing that he's been talking about, and picking Homan and Stephen Miller is a sign of what he intends to do. I think some people didn't take it seriously. I think we're going to see now that Latino men who voted for him are going to find out that members of their friends and family circles are going to be deported, and that's going to rip that community apart. We don't know how much this is going to cost. We don't really know what they're planning on doing. But if some of the apocalyptic predictions come true, you're going to see people all across the country being ripped from their homes and businesses and sent, wherever they came from. And that's going to have a tremendous dislocating effect on the economy, could drive inflation because it could create a labor shortage. So there are all sorts of untold effects from this policy if it unfolds the way that some of these people are talking about.
That is rather worrying, as many have highlighted. In fact, that's a fear that many echo as well within the United States come January. But thank you so much, Ray, for joining us with the latest updates from the US. As always, news and updates continue in a moment right here on NDTV. Don't go anywhere.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
A $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president.
Donald triumphs. What does Trump's win mean for America, for the world, for the wars, and for India-US relations? Non-stop coverage on NDTV. Top analysts and voices from the ground. Extensive coverage on NDTV.
We reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well.
Hello and welcome to watching NDTV. I am Vedant Agarwal. Coming up on the show, well, in Maharashtra, a huge political face-off over the Election Commission's luggage checking spree. Well, the Uddhav Sena is saying that their luggage is being checked right ahead of poll rallies. We'll get you all the latest on that, but first up, the headlines. A Maha slugfest over the Election Commission's luggage checking spree. Luggage checked before poll rally, claims Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena. This, as Sanjay Raut says, is the Election Commission checking the Chief Minister's luggage as well? ED raids in Bengal and Jharkhand. The Enforcement Directorate raids are reportedly linked to illegal infiltrations. This comes amid the political face-off over infiltrations between JMM and the BJP. The key suspect behind the threat to Shah Rukh Khan has now been arrested. Mumbai cops fly down to Raipur to arrest the key accused. Amid fears of an extremely high-level violent protest, the Brampton Triveni Mandir and Community Centre has cancelled a life certificate event. The event, Councillor Camp, was scheduled to take place on November the 17th. Our lead story this morning, well, some breaking news coming in. key Lokayukta raids taking place at 40 locations in Karnataka. Lokayukta, remember, is essentially the anti-corruption body, the corruption watchdog in Karnataka, and these are 40 locations that are being raided: Mysuru, Devanagari, also Belagavi. These are politically important locations as well, given the fact that you have crucial bipoles in Karnataka also coming up. Let me go across to my colleague Pratibha Raman joining us live. Pratibha, what more details do you have? Given the fact that bipoles are also coming up, these raids become crucial politically as well.
Well, that's right, because we are also talking of 9 cases that have been registered with the department, is what we are told. And in relation with that, this Lokayukta raids are being conducted at around 40 places across Karnataka. It's not just in Bidar, but also in Belagavi, Haveli, Davangere, Kalburgi and Mysuru. Now, Belagavi as well as Mysuru definitely assumes significance, because these are the 2 of the 3 regions where the bipoles are being conducted in Karnataka. If you're talking of Belagavi, closer around that area is where Mr. Bommai's son has been contesting there for the bipoles. And in Mysuru, of course, it also happens to be Chief Minister's backyard. And also, coincidentally, today, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah is heading to Mysore. And that is exactly where the Lokayukta raids are happening. What are those 9 cases that have been registered is something that hasn't been revealed yet, but all eyes are on that so that we have more information on the kind of raids that are being conducted and the reason as to why. These are from the residence of Ravindra Kumar, Assistant Director, District Training Institute in Bidar is what we are told, where the raid is being conducted. And more details would emerge a little later with respect to the kind of documents that are being perused.
All right, Pratibha, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. One important aspect of what you're reporting is that Chief Minister is also set to go to Mysuru, one of the locations where the Lokayukta raids are taking place. Of course, in no way to suggest that this is related to the probe as far as the Chief Minister is concerned, but the Lokayukta is, of course, probing the Muda scam allegations as well, though more clarity will emerge as to what these raids are exactly about. But key locations, 40 locations where these anti-corruption raids are taking place in Karnataka. Moving now to the big political face-off in Maharashtra, just a day after Uddhav Thackeray claimed that his luggage was checked before an election rally. Now, of course, the opposition, including the Uddhav Sena, now upping the ante on this, saying that, well, does the Election Commission also check the Chief Minister's luggage or the Deputy Chief Minister's luggage? Essentially saying or levelling the charge that the Election Commission is acting on the behest of the Chief Minister and the government in Maharashtra. So this has triggered a big political face-off. Let's quickly listen into what Sanjay Raut in fact had to say.
आप हमारा सामान चेक करिए, लेकिन क्या आप एकनाथ शिंदे, देवेंद्र फडणवीस, अजित पवार, नरेंद्र मोदी, अमित शाह जी, उनके हेलीकॉप्टर्स, उनके कारों का काफिला रुक कर आप उनकी जांच करते हैं क्या? महाराष्ट्र में जिस तरह से पैसे का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चल रहा है, क्या चुनाव आयोग के जो ऑब्जर्वर है उनको ये दिखता नहीं? हमने बार-बार उनको बताया क्या हो रहा है का.
All right, we'll quickly try and get in a reaction from the Shinde Sena to this as well. But before that, let me go across to my colleague Radhika Ramaswamy joining us live. So Radhika, this is, as many would say, regular practice of the Election Commission. In the Lok Sabha polls, if I'm not wrong, Eknath Shinde's luggage was also checked in Nashik, and that had sort of triggered some sort of a political row. But the opposition essentially alleging that the Election Commission is almost acting at the behest of the BJP and the Maharashtra government. But what is Uddhav Thackeray Sena saying essentially? It was yesterday that his bags were checked.
Yes, absolutely. Uddhav Thackeray there, in fact, putting out a video. This was presumably shot by him, whereby his bag was checked by election officials at Yavatmal in a helipad. So he, in fact, goes on to question. Of course, he's upping the ante against the BJP, against the Mahayuti government, to question them, question the election officials as to why they wouldn't check the bags of Amit Shah, Prime Minister Modi, Eknath Shinde, Ajit Pawar, Devendra Fadnavis, and if they do check, then that they must be given the video to prove that all the leaders' bags are being checked. Yes, as you pointed out, Eknath Shinde's bag was checked the last time, if in fact it happened in Nasik. That had also triggered a political row. A lot of back and forth as far as these checks are concerned. Of course, this is obviously to ensure that there is no distribution of gifts or money by any of the political leaders. However, Uddhav Thackeray there upping the ante, saying that this is only being done to the opposition leaders, not just him, but his associate Rahul Narvekar. In fact, his associates' bags were also checked, is the information that we are getting. But not just Uddhav Thackeray, Sanjay Raut also reacting very sharply to the checks that were carried out, saying that, there is information that money is being carried by several of the top political leaders, but it will never come to the forefront since election officials do not really care to check the bags and luggage or vehicles of important leaders such as Prime Minister Modi, Amit Shah, or even Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Ministers of the state. So yes, allegations and counter allegations as far as these checks are concerned. Uddhav Thackeray, Sanjay Raut reacting sharply to Uddhav Thackeray's bag being checked by officials in Yavatmal. This happened a couple of days back. Now we'll have to see what kind of responses perhaps Mahayuti parties may give to these allegations that have been made.
All right, Radhika, thanks very much for joining us for the latest there. In fact, Krishna Hegde, spokesperson of the Shinde Sena, is also with us on the phone line. Mr. Hegde, not only has Sanjay Raut said that the election commission is sort of acting at the behest of the BJP, and are the election commission officials checking the chief minister's luggage, the deputy chief minister's luggage, but Sanjay Raut also says that the election commission must keep a sort of a check on the kind of money that is being pumped in and distributed across Maharashtra. Your response to this?
Vedanshi, Sanjay Raut has got a habit of making all these wild allegations without any proof. And in the last Lok Sabha election, Chief Minister Eknath Shindeji's bags were also checked when he was getting down from the helicopter, possibly in Nasik. And not only that, Eknath Shindeji did not make any fuss about it or did not create any uproar like the Uddhav Thackeray camp is doing now. Over that, if you have seen the election commission, they have acted swiftly, whether it is near Sangola, whether it is in other places of Maharashtra, and even out of Mumbai in Jharkhand. You have seen that several places where cash has been seized by the election commission, and I think election commission is doing a good job. Firstly, instead of appreciating the huge exercise the election commission, the officials, the administration, the police and all the departments are doing, they're just making these false allegations.
Sure.
Wherever the election commission is doing their work, they're doing, I think, promptly, and they're doing it well, systematically and professionally, and they have no bias whatsoever. Over that, like I told you, even the chief minister's bag has been checked. So I don't know why they are creating this kind of fuss all the time. If there is nothing, then what do you have to fear, actually?
All right. Also, a quick response, Mr. Hegde, on what Sanjay Raut said about the kind of money being pumped in and distributed across Maharashtra. This also comes close on the heels of the Prime Minister saying that the Congress is using money which is as kickbacks from liquor shop owners in Karnataka and pumping that in Maharashtra. So this whole sort of conundrum around money and money being distributed in Maharashtra.
So the Honorable Prime Minister is very right, because a lot of money is pumped in from Karnataka, Telangana and Congress-ruled states. And like you saw in the Goa election also, a lot of money was pumped by the Aam Aadmi Party from Delhi, from the liquor gate scam. So there is proof in what we are saying. We are just not making any allegations.
Okay. Though I must clarify here that the Enforcement Directorate so far has not been able to establish the money trail in the Delhi liquor policy case. Since you mentioned that, so I must clarify that none of it has been proven yet, surely. But of course, that huge political slugfest there in Maharashtra over the Election Commission's luggage checking spree. But moving now to the other big political slugfest in Maharashtra, and this is over the Prime Minister's "Ek hai to safe hai" call. This has certainly become a political buzzword in Maharashtra, with top leaders of the BJP union ministers all talking about it in poll rallies and also tweeting about it, and something that has been splashed all over national dailies in Maharashtra as well. Well, a key BJP ally, Ajit Pawar, who's also the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, has said that there's nothing wrong with Ek Hai to Safe Hai, because earlier, of course, he had registered some sort of protest over the buttinge to cuttinge remark. That was something that Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath first said. But Ajit Pawar says that Ek Hai to Safe Hai is an absolutely justified slogan. Let's listen into what he had to say.
भारत देश एक रहेगा तो सेफ रहेगा, उसमें क्या खराबी है? कुछ भी नहीं है। बटेंगे तो कटेंगे, वो गलत है। वो मुझे क्या बटेगा कटेगा, यही वर्ड यूज करने का महाराष्ट्र में तो कोई अर्थ है ही नहीं, ऐसा मेरा खुद का कहना है। यहाँ पे तो बोला जा रहा है। हाँ, मैंने कहा ना, मैंने बताया ना कि मुझे वो अपने महाराष्ट्र के लोग अलग, उनकी सोच अलग है। शायद यूपी के, बिहार की, मध्य प्रदेश की, वहाँ के लोगों की सोच अलग हो सकती है, वो उनका अधिकार है। लेकिन महाराष्ट्र में ऐसा नहीं चलता। हमारे महाराष्ट्र में शिव शाहू फुले आंबेडकर की विचारधारा, शिव यानी छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज, राजर्षि शाहू महाराज, महात्मा ज्योतिराव फुले और डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आंबेडकर, इनकी विचारधारा चलती है। आप कैसे भी देखो।
Radhika Ramaswamy continues to be with us. So Radhika, interesting there that Ajit Pawar is saying that slogans that might work elsewhere in the Hindi heartland don't work in Maharashtra. But this entire Ek Hai to Safe Hai remark, is there any sort of political resonance that it's finding among voters? Because we've seen in the Lok Sabha polls that several slogans on similar lines did not work for the BJP.
That's right. Remains to be seen if it will find any sort of resonance from the voters, especially in a state like Maharashtra. Ajit Pawar could be right when he says that this may not work in a state like Maharashtra. But again, there is difference over, campaign strategy as far as Mahayuti is concerned. Ajit Pawar, they're in fact giving his opinion on how this particular campaign, Ek Hai to Safe Hai, may not work in the state of Maharashtra. It is a divisive politics. And it is high time that Mahayuti only focuses on development plank. Of course, Ajit Pawar, pointing at how they must only emphasize on the development and welfare work and schemes that Mahayuti had launched over the years and has also promised and guaranteed to the voters of Maharashtra. And that must be the plank that it must sort of ride on as far as ruling government is concerned. Ajit Pawar also going on to say that it doesn't go with the beliefs of Shivaji Maharaj and several other iconic leaders of Maharashtra. It may work in the northern belt, it may work in other parts, but not in Maharashtra. Of course, this is coming from the leader of a regional party, so it does have some, it does make sense to an extent, but again, caste dynamics is at play. We know for a fact that Marathas are unhappy with Mahayuti. They are trying to get the votes of the OBC community. Both OBC and Maratha communities are at, extreme ends, as far as several issues are concerned over reservations. So therefore, caste dynamics is in a way at play, but will this slogan really work? Not entirely sure. People within Mahayuti themselves, including Ajit Pawar and several within NCP, Ajit Pawar, are pointing at how, polarizing or divisive politics of this kind terms like batenge to katenge may not work in the state of Maharashtra and may not woo the voters, especially in the sugar belt districts of Maharashtra and many other parts as well, be it Vidarbha, northern Maharashtra and so on. So we'll have to really see how or whether it will find any sort of resonance among any voter in the state.
All right, Radhika, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. As Radhika is reporting, it remains to be seen whether it finds any sort of political resonance there. But certainly this has become quite a bit of a slugfest there, with the Prime Minister reiterating this remark in almost every political rally of his. Moving now to the other big headline. Well, in the Shah Rukh Khan threat case, now a key accused has been arrested from Raipur, interestingly. This, of course, is the threat to Shah Rukh Khan comes close on the heels of the death threats to Salman Khan as well. Remember, the Mumbai police had received a death threat against Shah Rukh Khan. In fact, they traced down the accused earlier and now he has been arrested from Raipur. Radhika continues to be with us. So, Radhika, Interesting there that the accused has been arrested from Raipur, and this of course is multiple Bollywood celebrities have now received such kind of threats, similar threats, a similar pattern there certainly. Any more details on who this accused is, any connection of his to a particular gang?
Well, as of now, that's not established. The man has been arrested, Faizan Khan, from Raipur in Chhattisgarh. Bandra police teams were deployed there. He was arrested early this morning. He was questioned. In fact, he had said that he is not responsible for this and his phone was stolen and it was not him that had issued that threat to Shah Rukh Khan. But all this is a matter of investigation as to whether it was somebody else on his behalf who did it, what really motivated or drove him to issue such a threat to Shah Rukh Khan. Of course, we know for a fact that this was received by Bandra police a couple of days back, in which the caller threatened to kill Shah Rukh Khan and said he needs a ransom of rupees 50 lakhs. So what really drove him to do this, whether he is part of any gang, Lawrence Bishnoi gang, or was it just mischief being played in order to gain attention, all that is a matter of investigation. This man will be produced before a court in Chhattisgarh, after which, of course, transit remand will be sought, and then he will be brought to Bandra for further questioning. We know for a fact that multiple people had been arrested in connection to several threats being received by Salman Khan in the recent past. At least 4 threats had been received by Mumbai Police Traffic Control Room. In connection to Salman Khan, some asking for 5 crore rupees, some 2 crore rupees. Many were arrested who were, either vegetable vendors, daily wage workers from different parts of the country. Their associations with any gang members have not been proven now, but Mumbai police taking all these threats seriously, especially after Baba Siddiqui murder, and also after the firing outside Salman Khan's residence. So at least 4 threats received by Salman Khan, 1 by Shah Rukh Khan. Now one person who allegedly issued that threat to Shah Rukh Khan has now been arrested from Raipur.
All right, Radhika, thanks very much for joining us for the latest there. As Radhika is reporting, the Mumbai police have arrested the accused from Raipur. They had received a death threat to superstar Shah Rukh Khan. And some breaking news coming in. Well, in Jammu and Kashmir's Kupwara, an encounter has now broken out between terrorists and security forces. This as militancy continues to be a huge challenge for the state government and indeed the central security forces as well. Remember, in the past 1 month, we've seen back-to-back terror encounters. In fact, recently we saw how a young Jawan had lost his life in Jammu and Kashmir in that fierce encounter that had broken out. But let me go across to my colleague Neeta Sharma. Neeta, it's absolutely shocking how day after day terror encounters continue in Jammu and Kashmir. We have lost several Jawans, several civilians have lost their lives as well. But what's the latest that you have on Kupwara?
As far as Kupwara is concerned, an encounter broke out between militants and a joint team of security forces in Nagmar. That is the area of North Kashmir, Kupwara district. There were reports that some militants were trying to cross over the fence. So the infiltration bid was foiled by the security forces. Actually, our intelligence agencies are gathering that Lolab and also Bandipura area are the fresh areas from where infiltration is taking in numbers, especially in the month of October. So that's the reason why the vigil was also up and this infiltration bid was foiled. However, search and cordon and search operations is still going on in this area as of now, as we speak. Back to you.
All right, Neeta, thanks very much for joining us for the latest there. As Neeta Sharma is reporting, the entire area has been cordoned off. The search operations continue. But remember, as far as the Omar Abdullah government is concerned, its militancy continues to be a huge challenge, though this is something that comes under the Lieutenant Governor, the security situation in the Union Territory. So it has to be a coordinated effort, certainly, between the state government and the Lieutenant Governor as far as the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. Though, of course, both Omar Abdullah as well as several BJP leaders have said that all these terror designs do resemble those from across the border. Moving now to news from Manipur. Well, Manipur has largely remained peaceful in the past couple of months, but isolated incidents of violence continue to be reported, particularly in Jiribam, that has been the epicenter of violence in Manipur. In fact, 2 senior citizens, their bodies were found inside a house that was set on fire in Jiribam. Let me go across to my colleague Ratndeep Chaudhary, who's been tracking Manipur very, very closely for the past 2 years now. Ratndeep, as I said, Manipur has remained largely peaceful, but violence returning to Manipur in a sense, certainly, and this comes just a day after, perhaps hours after that violent encounter that we saw in Jiribam.
That's right. In fact, if you see in the combing operation that took place after the encounter, given the fact that the police statement also stated that suspected militant had torched and set ablaze several huts. So it seems now what we are hearing from police sources is that they've recovered 2 charred bodies, probably elderly people who could not run for their lives when this attack from the suspected militants took place. However, there have been at least 10 suspected militants who have been gunned down in that attack. One CRPF personnel has been seriously injured. He has been taken to the Silchar Medical College on the other side of the border in Assam. Remember, Jiribam is a border district with Assam. Also, major reinforcement has been sent. You have indefinite curfew which has been imposed in Jiribam. What is important to note that the Kuki Zomi civil society groups have claimed that these people were not militants but village volunteers. Remember, ever since the Manipur violence, ethnic conflict started last year, on both sides, whether it's the Meitei side or the Kuki Zomi sides, you have armed villagers who call them village volunteers who try to protect their own territory. So the Kuki Zomis claim that they were village volunteers. However, what CRPF and other police security forces sources are telling us that there has been recovery of huge cache of arms which are used, which are sophisticated arms which are used by trained people, including RPGs and also automatic weapons. In fact, in the Kuki Zomi areas, as we speak, there is a dawn to dusk shutdown as well because of these killings. So therefore, once again, in fact, there have been, in the last 72 hours, there have been several incidents of firing, of also mortar shells being, charged. So therefore, it seems that there is a renewed spell of violence that Manipur is witnessing, and perhaps the security establishment once again has to rejig its plans.
All right, thanks very much, Ratndeep, for joining us with the latest there. As Ratndeep is reporting, well, the state of unrest in Manipur, 2 senior citizens, their bodies were found inside a charred home in Jiribam. In the earlier phase of violence as well, Jiribam has been one of the big epicenters of violence there. The security apparatus, a huge challenge for it as well, and this comes just hours after 12 armed insurgents were killed in Jiribam itself. In other news now, amid fears of extremely high level of violent protests, the Brampton Triveni Community Centre has cancelled a life certificate event scheduled to take place on November the 17th. A temple in Canada's Brampton has cancelled an Indian consulate event after the police cited significant security threats amid the ongoing protests and tensions that erupted following a pro-Khalistani attack, as it were, on Hindu devotees in the area. So this, of course, has been a huge concern for the police there as well. Though, of course, the police has appealed for escalations to come down immediately. But there was this dramatic attack on Hindu devotees in the Brampton Temple. The Brampton Temple is very popular among Hindus in Canada. Of course, it's a significant chunk of the population there. But let me go across to my colleague, Mohammad Ghazali. Ghazali, so that event has been cancelled now. What is the situation as far as Brampton is concerned as we speak?
See, the Sikhs for Justice founder Gurpatwant Singh Pannu has basically issued these threats against the Hindu MP Chandan Arya, and then he also had issued threats that perhaps on November 16th and 17th he will also target Indian diplomats at the temples where these camps were scheduled to be organized in Brampton, and that is the reason why these temple authorities were informed by the police that perhaps they will not be able to provide adequate security, and hence these events have been cancelled. Cancelled in the sense that it has been postponed. Indian authorities have time and again requested, the Indian High Commission there in Canada has requested their counterparts to provide adequate security, but perhaps the Canadian police has not been able to do so. And this was aired last week when the MEA spokesperson also clarified that we had requested for security, but Canadian authorities have not been able to do so. And the reason being that this Sikh for Justice founder Gurpatwant Singh Pannu has been issuing threats, and that is why this event has been cancelled. But the larger picture, Vedant, is that it is going to impact the Indian community there, because at the end of the year, all the pension holders, the NRI citizens or the Indian citizens there who have to avail the pension services from their banks back in India, it happens usually that the Indian High Commission organizes these camps where they furnish the documents, and then High Commission ensures that people don't have to travel back to India to avail those services or to ensure that those services are uninterrupted. But with these threats, this is a new kind of emerging threat which is now going to impact the Indian community directly. Earlier, they used to threaten the Indian diplomats, they used to protest outside the Indian High Commission, but what happened last week or a couple of weeks earlier, that they started protesting outside the temples in order to threaten the diplomats, but it ended up roughing up the devotees outside the Hindu temple. Those who were protesting claimed that they didn't attack the Hindu temple, but the visuals certainly show that devotees coming out of the temple where they tried to flee from the situation, and the situation is very tense over there, because even if the police had to say that they can't provide security, then you can imagine the kind of scenario which is developing there, or the kind of situation, law and order situation which is developing there.
All right, Ghazali, thanks very much for joining us with that very comprehensive update. As Ghazali is reporting, well, it escalated into something bigger, something that was not anticipated, and given the fact that even the police is not able to, in a sense, bring down the hostilities, the escalation there goes to show how tense the situation is. But moving now to Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh, well, dramatic visuals coming in. This is the students have now taken to streets. Well, these are basically civil services aspirants of PCS, which is essentially is the provincial civil services examination. Now, the entire contention here is that the aspirants want the examination to be held in a single shift. Earlier, of course, the authorities had announced that it will be held in 2 shifts. Interestingly, this has become political as well amid crucial by-polls and, of course, the assembly polls in 2026 as well. Of course, Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav had extended support to the aspirants as well. Let me go across to my colleague Ranveer Singh joining us on the phone line. So Ranveer, the aspirants demanding the examination to be held in a single shift, is this likely to become a political issue there as well?
Yeah, obviously. Thousands of students are sitting on staging dharna at PCS office in Prayagraj, and they are demanding the examination to be conducted in a same day, in a single shift, and there should be no equalization, no normalization. So the students are in Prayagraj. They are staging a dharna. They are demanding their demands to be fulfilled by the Public Service Commission in Uttar Pradesh. The UP PCS preliminary examination is to be conducted on 7th and 8th December, while RO and ARO examination to be held on 22nd and 23rd December. So the students are demanding that there should be no shift and the exam should be conducted in a single day. And as far as politics is concerned, Keshav Prasad Maurya, the Deputy CM in Uttar Pradesh, he has requested the officials to listen to the aspirants and fulfill their demand as far as possible. While the opposition leaders, Akhilesh Yadav and Mayawati, hit out at government over this protest. Akhilesh Yadav said, Yogi Banam Pratyogi. It means CM versus aspirants. And while Mayawati has said that the Public Service Commission has deficient in arrangements, and that's why they are conducting the examination in 2 days. So that's why this protest has become a political issue in Uttar Pradesh, and the students are sitting on protest since last 24 hours, and the protest is continuous today also.
All right, Ranveer, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. As Ranveer is reporting, both Mayawati and Akhilesh Yadav, they're upping the ante as far as the PCS examination is concerned. This has been a contentious issue in a city like Prayagraj for years now, but thousands of aspirants taking to the streets there. With that, we'll take a short break now, but come back for more on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
कैसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
In the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the topmost news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India, beating all its competition. NDTV stands for trust.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
So a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president.
Donald triumphs. What does Trump's win mean for America, for the world, for the wars, and for India-US relations? Non-stop coverage on NDTV. Top analysts and voices from the ground. Extensive coverage on NDTV.
we reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ
Welcome back. News from poll-bound Jharkhand. Well, ED raids taking place both in Jharkhand and West Bengal, and this is reportedly in connection to the entire infiltration row. Of course, the cross-border infiltration that has become a huge political issue as well, but this has been a contentious issue in Jharkhand and West Bengal for decades now, and this is interesting given the fact that we just had Home Minister Amit Shah hit out at the JMM government there, saying that they shelter infiltrators, and Hemant Soren in fact had also sharply responded, saying that the centre is protecting Sheikh Hasina, on the one hand, and then crying about Bangladeshi infiltration. So that had become a huge poll issue as well. Nonetheless, these Enforcement Directorate raids taking place at multiple locations in West Bengal and Jharkhand. In fact, the JMM has hit out at the BJP government yet again. Take a look.
ED raids are continuing in two states, that is West Bengal and Jharkhand, and 7 locations in Jharkhand are being raided as we speak, and those are the locations where the ED claims the agencies involved in actually helping the illegal immigrants, especially the illegal Bangladeshi immigrants, settle in Jharkhand. So there were agencies, there were companies who were involved in it, who were actually securing forged documents for those illegal immigrants and helping them actually sneak into Jharkhand, settle here with so-called legitimate documents which they were procuring for them. So those are the agencies which are being raided as we speak. And remember, the tone for this had been set by Amit Shah when he was in Ranchi around 10 days back and releasing the BJP's manifesto called Sankalp Patra, and then he had talked about how the illegal immigrants are being helped to settle in Jharkhand with the help of the JMM and the Congress government. That's the reason why the JMM is calling it a political vendetta, because JMM believes that this kind of attack is actually would harm their interest and would kind of go against their perception. BJP has been alleging that JMM is helping out the illegal immigrants settle in Jharkhand and treating them as a vote bank. BJP also in its manifesto has said that if it is voted back to power, they would screen them out and they would throw them out of Jharkhand. And these sentiments were echoed by Prime Minister himself. And as he spoke 2 days back in Jharkhand, today we are seeing the central agency ED in action on the ground now.
And moving now to something that has been a big focus for us on NDTV for decades now, the air pollution crisis. And of course, this, as it's not just a Delhi problem, it's a pan-India problem, certainly, particularly as far as Mumbai is concerned. Several cities of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar also extremely polluted. In fact, I'm looking at government data right now, and there are at least 4 to 5 cities in Uttar Pradesh where the air quality is in the very poor category. So that gives you a sense of the level of the emergency, which is why we need round-the-year attention, something that we've been emphasizing year after year. Talking about pollution only in the peak season will not help. We need to target pollution at the source level. Now, as far as Delhi is concerned, the air quality is in the very poor category. The average air quality is in the very poor category. In fact, AQI is in the severe category, and in several parts in the upper levels of the severe category as well, and that is extremely concerning. The PM 2.5 is almost 80 times the safe limit set by the World Health Organization. This essentially means that exposure to this air for a long time can lead to several respiratory illnesses, even cancer. So a big word of caution for our viewers out there: if you do venture out, carry an N95 mask. That is the only mask that helps as per doctors. Now, as far as Mumbai is concerned, the air quality is in the poor category, that is the average AQI. In several parts of Maharashtra, the outskirts of Mumbai, the AQI is in the severe category as well. My colleague Shreya and Anuj have sent us these reports from Mumbai and Delhi.
standing at the entry point of the Bandra-Worli Sea Link, and my camera person is zooming in the Worli region of the city, and this is a gateway to the southern part of the city, considered to be relatively cleaner when it comes to air quality. But you can see that the smog which usually engulfed the city and has been doing it for the last 1.5 months in the early hours of the morning, and then situation eventually gets better as we inch closer to the noon, does not seem to be happening in the last few days. Although, speaking about numbers, relatively the air quality has improved a little bit, because the air quality index, on that particular parameter, Mumbai stood at 150, 152 in the morning, which falls in the category of moderate quality. But then the pollutants in the air are spreading across the city, and we are seeing that earlier what was the case is not the case now. When I say that, I mean that earlier we would see that regions like Andheri, regions like Bandra, Kandivali, Kolaba, all of these were the pockets which would experience way worse air quality as compared to the several other regions. But what we're experiencing in the last couple of days is that the air quality across the city is coming down, and that is going to be a challenge in front of the authorities. This, especially happening during the poll season, is another challenge in front of the BMC, because all the guidelines which were introduced by the BMC to counter the rising air pollution in the city in the last 12 months will be tested now, because the majority of the BMC volunteers are busy with the poll work. We saw how the BMC is very, is very importantly looking at the elections. They're looking at increasing the voter turnout in certain pockets of the city, and that is where the majority of their attention will be. But at the same time, we are seeing that they are trying to, have sprinklers in different parts of the city, just so that air quality can become a little better than what was the case a few months ago. But, it is showing little to less results, at least as of now, and the situation is expected to become slightly worse as we approach December.
Well, the Delhi's air quality continues to plummet, turning this fight for clean air into a full-blown public health crisis. We have not seen a single good air day in this entire year, and ever since Diwali, the AQI has been consistently in the very poor category. Today as well, the AQI is hovering somewhere around 335, which is of course in the very poor to severe category, and some of the densely populated areas like Jahangirpuri, Anand Vihar, Rohini has recorded over 400 AQI, which is extremely hazardous for people's health. It can cause severe breathing and respiratory issues, which can later, of course, develop into serious ailments like COPD, and vulnerable people like the senior citizens, pregnant women and young children are more susceptible to developing pollution-related illnesses. And right now, let me tell you that I am in Noida, and we know that Noida, Greater Noida areas have recorded slightly better AQI than Delhi, but it still reels under poor air quality. And recently we have seen this anti-smog tower, which is the single and largest anti-smog tower in Noida, that was installed back in 2021, has been removed, and it has left the residents and environmentalists questioning the whole effectiveness of this particular anti-smog gun and the transparency about its future, because it has been abruptly removed, overlooking the potential effect on the residents here, the potential effects of the pollution on the residents, because of course the anti-smog tower was installed to curb the pollution levels and provide cleaner air for people to breathe. But if we talk about Delhi, we know that yesterday the Supreme Court has lashed out at the Delhi government and asked the Delhi government to give a permanent solution to this increasing pollution levels and the ineffectiveness of this cracker ban. By November 25th, the Delhi government has to give a permanent solution to the court, and other than that, we know the main culprits of this pollution is vehicular emission, for which the Commission for Air Quality Management has urged MCD officials to increase parking fee, to enforce that all the cars have pollution under control norms, and they are also stop the end of life vehicles, which are old vehicles. So these kind of small reactive measures have been taken to curb vehicular pollution, which is the largest contribution to air pollution in the national capital. With camera person Arun Negi, this is Shreya for NDTV Delhi.
All right, so breaking news coming in. Well, the Supreme Court has extended the interim anticipatory bail for actor Siddique. Remember, actor Siddique has been accused of raping a young actor. This was among the first cases that emerged in the entire Bollywood Me Too movement. And now the Supreme Court extending the anticipatory interim bail. Let me go across to our senior colleague Sunil Prabhu joining us on the phone line. So, Teresa, this is perhaps the second time that the Supreme Court has extended the anticipatory bail for actor Siddique. In fact, I'm looking at his affidavit. He essentially says that the Kerala police is cooking up stories and that I'm no powerful member of the Malayalam film industry.
Yeah, that's right. And it's in that context that the Supreme Court, has extended that interim application. The counsel for Mr. Siddique was the senior advocate Mukul Rohtgi, who said that they're asking for his laptop and phone, post 2006, and that's not possible at this stage. So, how can you ask for somebody to give that? And it's in that context, I'm not joining issue on that, but we'll look at it, and it's extended the bail, and we'll have to wait and see how things proceed after that.
All right, Sunisa, thanks very much for joining us for that quick update there. As Sunisa has reported, this is the second time, remember, that the Supreme Court has extended the anticipatory bail. In his affidavit, in fact, actor Siddique has also said that I have done roles only as a supporting actor and that I am no powerful member of any sort of lobby as far as the Malayalam film industry is concerned. But remember, there were absolutely horrific allegations against him. He is accused of raping a young actor. In fact, many actors, junior artists, all had come on record to talk in sordid detail about what they went through. But moving now to news from Andhra Pradesh. Well, prominent filmmaker Ram Gopal Varma has been booked. A case has been registered against director Ram Gopal Varma. This is the Andhra police have filed a case after a TDP leader filed a complaint. Remember, the TDP alleges that various morphed pictures of the chief minister were posted by the filmmaker on his social media account. Earlier we spoke to Uma for more.
So, filmmaker Ram Gopal Varma has been known to be a long-time critic of Chandrababu Naidu and his family members as well. And he had in fact made a film called Vyuham just before the elections and released it just before the simultaneous elections to both Assembly and Parliament in Andhra Pradesh, in which he had kind of mocked, criticized, or should I say made caricatures of Chandrababu Naidu, his son Lokesh, his daughter-in-law Brahmini. All of them were featuring in that particular film, or rather it seemed like they were being featured in that film and being made fun of. And over a period of time, he has always been a critic of Chandrababu Naidu and been seen, in fact, as a supporter of the YSRCP. And in the earlier, he had also made Lakshmi's NTR about Lakshmi Parvati, who was the wife of was wife of N.T. Ramarao. And at that time, the 1995 coup, all of that he had picturized in a film, and it was showing Mr. Chandrababu Naidu in a negative light. The present FIR now has fueled speculation whether he would be arrested, but this must be seen as the larger crackdown that the coalition government in Andhra Pradesh is taking up on social media harassment, cyber stalking, as well as cyber kind of derogatory comments that are made on social media as well. And many YSRCP activists and also some TDP activists have been taken to book for this, and some of the so-called social media influencers who are supporters of YSRCP, including an actress, have in fact put out videos publicly apologizing for the content that they had put out earlier and saying that they had done it on the directions of the political leadership of that time. And therefore, the kind of crackdown that is happening on social media in Andhra Pradesh, also taking in someone like Ram Gopal Varma. There are other people as well who are seen as celebrities, Sri Reddy and others, who may also face similar action from the government, from the law enforcement agencies, because the case has been booked under the IT Act. Back to you.
News now from Canada. Well, amid fears of an extremely intense protest, the Temple Committee in Brampton, in fact, has decided to call off a key consular event in Brampton at that temple, which is extremely popular among Hindu devotees. Remember, this comes close to the heels of various Hindu devotees being attacked by pro-Khalistani groups. My colleague Mohammad Ghazali has more on this.
See, the Sikhs for Justice founder Gurpatwant Singh Pannu has basically issued these threats against the Hindu MP Chandan Arya And then he also had issued threats that perhaps on November 16th and 17th he will also target Indian diplomats at the temples where these camps were scheduled to be organized in Brampton. And that is the reason why these temple authorities were informed by the police that perhaps they will not be able to provide adequate security, and hence these events have been cancelled. Cancelled in the sense that it has been postponed. Indian authorities have time and again requested, the Indian High Commission there in Canada has requested their counterparts to provide adequate security, but perhaps the Canadian police has not been able to do so. And this was aired last week when the MEA spokesperson also clarified that we had requested for security, but Canadian authorities have not been able to do so. And the reason being that this Sikh for Justice founder Gurpatwant Singh Pannu has been issuing threats, and that is why this event has been cancelled. But the larger picture, Vedant, is that it is going to impact the Indian community there, because at the end of the year, all the pension holders, the NRI citizens or the Indian citizens there who have to avail the pension services from their banks back in India, it happens usually that the Indian High Commission organizes these camps where they furnish the documents, and then High Commission ensures that people don't have to travel back to India to avail those services or to ensure that those services are uninterrupted. But with these threats, this is a new kind of emerging threat which is now going to impact the Indian community directly.
So pretty concerning there. The security forces also on high alert. But finally, we'll leave you with these lovely visuals from Jammu and Kashmir. Well, from the upper reaches of Gandarbal and also Sonmarg, the Kashmir received light snowfall. In fact, there was heavy snowfall in some parts certainly, particularly the Srinagar-Leh road, which received light rainfall. Also, a layer of fresh snow accumulated around the Zojila Pass as well. The vehicular traffic continues to be normal. Right now, this snowfall is perhaps light enough, but it becomes extremely intense as December approaches.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
A Mahapolitical slugfest over the Election Commission's luggage checking spree. Well, the Uddhav Sena says that their bags were checked ahead of the poll rally. ED raids in Bengal and Jharkhand over cross-border infiltration. This, as this becomes a political slugfest, the JMM hits out at the BJP. In the Shah Rukh Khan threat case, a key suspect has been arrested from Raipur. The Brampton Temple Committee cancels the consular event after police cites concerns of a high-level protest.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
In the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the topmost news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
Now, a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president.
Donald triumphs. What does Trump's win mean for America, for the world, for the wars, and for India-US relations? Non-stop coverage on NDTV. Top analysts and voices from the ground. Extensive coverage on NDTV.
We reached an agreement on patrolling. We have gone back to where the situation was in 2020, and we can say with that the disengagement process with China, you can say, has been completed. The understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well at a global level.
NDTV World Summit was more than just a conversation. It was a confluence of ideas poised to shape our global future.
It's a
The Mumbai police make the first arrest in the SRK threat case. A suspect has been arrested from Raipur. Anti-corruption raids in Karnataka ahead of crucial by-polls. The Lokayukta raids are taking place in 40 locations in the state, also in Mysuru, ahead of the Chief Minister's visit. A Maha-political slugfest over the Election Commission's luggage checking. Well, luggage checked before poll rally, claims the UBT Sena. Uddhav Thackeray Sena says, is the Election Commission checking the Chief Minister's luggage as well? Shiv Sena says, baseless allegations by the NDA. Amid fears of an extremely high level of violent protest, the Brampton Triveni Mandir and Community Centre has cancelled a key consular event. Good afternoon, welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Vedanta Agarwal. Our lead story. Well, in the SRK threat case, a key arrest has been made from Raipur, where the Mumbai police have arrested a key suspect from Raipur. Remember, the Mumbai police had earlier received a threat against actor Shah Rukh Khan, and this comes close on the heels of course, various death threats against actor Salman Khan as well. So the Mumbai police certainly on high alert as far as Bollywood celebrities are concerned. So far, no real information on who this particular suspect is. The police, of course, in the Salman Khan threat case have established a very strong link to the Bishnoi gang, and that is something that is on the radar as far as the police are concerned. Anmol Bishnoi, of course, his extradition has also begun. So parallel developments taking place as far as this investigation is concerned, but the entire dark underbelly of the underworld has been sort of exposed yet again with Bollywood celebrities on the security radar. My colleague Radhika Ramaswamy has more on this.
As of now, that's not established. The man has been arrested, Faizan Khan, from Raipur in Chhattisgarh. Bandra police teams were deployed there. He was arrested early this morning. He was questioned. In fact, he had said that he is not responsible for this and his phone was stolen, and it was not him that had issued that threat to Shah Rukh Khan. But all this is a matter of investigation as to whether it was somebody else on his behalf who did it, what really motivated or drove him to issue such a threat to Shah Rukh Khan. Of course, we know for a fact that this was received by Bandra police a couple of days back, in which the caller threatened to kill Shah Rukh Khan and said he needs a ransom of rupees 50 lakhs. So what really drove him to do this, whether he's part of any gang, Lawrence Bishnoi gang, or was it just mischief being played in order to gain attention? All that is a matter of investigation. This man will be produced before a court in Chhattisgarh, after which, of course, transit remand will be sought, and then he will be brought to Bandra for further questioning. We know for a fact that multiple people had been arrested in connection to several threats being received by Salman Khan in the recent past. At least 4 threats had been received by Mumbai Police Traffic Control Room. In connection to Salman Khan, some asking for 5 crore rupees, some 2 crore rupees. Many were arrested who were, either vegetable vendors, daily wage workers from different parts of the country. Their associations with any gang members have not been proven now, but Mumbai police taking all these threats seriously, especially after Baba Siddiqui murder, and also after the firing outside Salman Khan's residence. So at least 4 threats received by Salman Khan, 1 by Shah Rukh Khan. Now one person who allegedly issued that threat to Shah Rukh Khan has now been arrested from Raipur.
In fact, Sanjay Sahai, former IPS officer, is also joining us on the broadcast this afternoon. Thanks very much, Mr. Sahai, for being with us. My first question to you, as we've discussed at great length in the past 1 month, this sort of Bollywood underworld nexus rivalry, this is back in focus yet again. The past few years have been pretty muted on that front. But Bollywood celebrity is back on the security radar. Is the Mumbai police well equipped to deal with threats of this nature?
Mumbai police is well equipped to deal with threats of this nature. The added caveat which I would like to add is what is the nature of intelligence which they are gathering, because things would have drastically changed over the last 15-20 years. I think 22 years back, somewhere around 2002-3 was the last killing which happened. And I think very faint incidents have also taken place in 2011-12. But for last 12 years, Bombay has literally been quiet as far as the underworld and this connection is concerned. And in this particular period of time, 10, 12 years, things have drastically changed. With the reason that there's huge amount of technology which has come in and the capability of these underworld gangsters and the mafia dons to connect to each other and plan, I think it has moved exponentially. And that is what we are seeing in the case of Lawrence Bishnoi gang. And the added fear or the scare which one has that while the person is in judicial custody, the criminal is in judicial custody, still lots of criminal activities take place. Now, coming to this particular thing with Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan, I think 4 threats, as your correspondent was talking about, and 1 threat to Shah Rukh Khan. I think this threat call to believe that it is happening just as random instances. I don't think that would be the case. And these people who were arrested in Salman Khan case with regards to the threat call, they are all random people, and the connect still does not get to wherever we generally believe it to be. So that is one part of the story. The second, Shah Rukh Khan and the arrest made this morning, I think it has still not thrown anything important or relevant. And this whole story that somebody picked up his phone and he made a call by name of Hindustani and asked for an extortion of 50 lakh rupees. I don't think as a professional police officer and having spent 32 years in the police, it cuts eyes in any manner whatsoever. The important thing is Bombay police needs to do this particular point in time is to put these threat calls under the same radar, and through variety of technologies and variety of capability and expertise which they have gathered over the years, I think they should be in a position to find out as to where it is emanating for and for what purpose. Till the time motive is decided, I don't think it is of any great value. So what is important is that the motive needs to be decided, and this particular person, Faizan Khan, if I'm not mistaken, who is a lawyer in Raipur.
Exactly.
So this fellow was somewhere, I think he was bothered about the dialogue in some movie with regards to this deer killing and deer killing. So that is where it is. So might be there is some very nascent or a nebulous sort of a connect.
That's an important point you're making, Mr. Shah. In fact, something that you said right at the outset was that Mumbai police perhaps cannot drop the ball on intelligence. That is critical as far as these threats are concerned. In fact, if you look at one thing that is perhaps similar in the pattern of investigation in both the threat cases, is that even in the Salman Khan firing case, there was a suspect that the Mumbai police let go of, and then that person later turned out to be one of the key accused in the case. And similarly with Faizan Khan as well, there was an indication earlier the police had tracked him down but had not arrested. So again, that point about intelligence becomes extremely critical here.
See, 2 things are there. One is the intelligence component of it, and the second part is how much we are able to intercept communication. Because this communication which is happening in the underworld today, the mafia gangs and all that, primarily most of it is happening at the encrypted level. So our capability to get into that level of communication and also to connect things which are outside of this encrypted communication and connect the physical and that particular thing. So that is very, very important. With the telephone calls, many times it has happened that you don't get the exact transcript or you don't get the conversation of the telephone call. Sure. But the number of telephone calls and the duration of the telephone calls and variety of other connects which you can get from social media tools with regarding to pattern, with regarding connections, I think many things can be established.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Mr. Zahai, for joining us.
Thank
Always
you.
a pleasure to hear your perspective. But as Mr. Zahai is pointing out, the Mumbai police over the years has developed that sort of capability to deal with threats of this nature, but extremely concerning their back-to-back threats to top Bollywood superstars. But moving now to the political battle in Telangana. Well, BRS versus Congress is certainly getting personal, something that we've seen in the past 1 month. Well, KTR, the working president of BRS and the son of former Chief Minister of Telangana, KCR, has now alleged that there is corruption in the awarding of tenders as far as Amrut is concerned. Now, what KTR is essentially alleging is that the Chief Minister favored his own family in, awarding these tenders. So, a big allegation there, but this comes close on the heels of course, KTR's own relative in the dock over the rave party at a farmhouse in Hyderabad as well. But let's quickly listen in to what KTR had to say.
I have to point out to one company specifically. This is a company called शोधा कंस्ट्रक्शंस 21-22 में इस कंपनी की नेट प्रॉफिट थी 2.2 करोड़. It's a very small company which has no qualification, no capital of sorts even to execute any kind of work. Now this company belongs to the brother-in-law of Chief Minister Revant Reddy. Now this brother-in-law's name is Srujan Reddy, and this company Shodha Constructions is an unknown entity as far as Telangana is concerned, as far as Andhra is concerned. With a net profit, let me remind you again, of only 2.2 crore. Now magically, as soon as Revant Reddy becomes Chief Minister, this company magically starts getting a lot of attention.
All right, Mr. Syed Asad Abbas, who is joining us on the phone line now. He's a Congress supporter. Mr. Abbas, your response to what KTR has said, these are serious allegations of irregularities in Amrut contracts. Your response to that, given the fact that the KTR essentially has said that the Chief Minister is personally involved in this alleged corruption?
That is absolutely not true. As a matter of fact, Srujan Reddy's team on Thursday served a legal notice to KT Rama Rao, accusing him of making false, malicious, politically motivated and vindictive statements against the former. As a matter of fact, they've also sued him for defamation, as he's made it without any basis or substantiation. The fact of the matter, we need to understand that KT Rama Rao ji, with all due respect, has also approached the Union Minister ML Khattar Saab. The fact is, of course, it is a free country, it is a democracy, he's welcome to do what he wants. But let me also remind him that he's made a very strong promise that if these are found to be legitimate, he's going to resign. So therefore, he must keep his resignation papers ready, and the Congress is defending this. Srujan Reddy's team has already sued him for defamation, and this is absolutely baseless. The fact of the matter, this company has shown all its revenue, its work, all of that which is found to be legitimate. Shodha Constructions. And as a matter of fact, over the years, it has successfully grown in terms of revenue, net worth, and technical know-how. As a matter of fact, the legal notice served to KT Rama Rao has profoundly shown all the discrepancies in his statement. So therefore, I've always believed, Vedant Saab, that with great power, there is great responsibility and equal accountability. KT Rama Rao Sahab, with all due respect, needs to be a lot more responsible than making such grievous allegations.
All right, Mr. Abbas, thanks very much for joining us there. Mr. Abbas saying that these are all baseless allegations, but this certainly opens a can of worms as far as Telangana is concerned. KTR alleging corruption and serious allegations against the Telangana Chief Minister. But moving now to news from Karnataka, well, the anti-corruption body Lokayukta, which essentially is a corruption watchdog, is conducting raids in several locations in Karnataka, including, of course, Mysuru, also crucial locations like Belagavi. Remember, this comes right ahead of the crucial bypolls in Karnataka as well. And interestingly, this comes right ahead of the Chief Minister's visit to Mysuru as well, though of course there is still no clarity on what this particular case is, though of course the Lokayukta is also probing the Muda scam, but that's a separate case entirely. But interesting timing there certainly. Hours ahead of the Chief Minister's visit to Mysuru, you have Lokayukta, the corruption watchdog, raiding various locations, also Haveri and Devanagari. These are crucial locations as well. And look at those pictures coming in of the Lokayukta teams. Lokayukta certainly has become more active as far as Karnataka is concerned. A big crackdown on corruption. It seems 40 locations under scanner in this phase of raids in Karnataka. Let me go across to my colleague Pratibha Raman joining us on the phone line, I believe. Pratibha, one thing that you were reporting earlier was that these raids come just perhaps hours ahead of the Chief Minister's visit to Mysuru as well. Is there any particular case that the anti-corruption watchdog is probing in these raids?
Well, what we hear from sources is that this is related to disproportionate assets case involved with the KIADB, and that is the department, those officials involved with it who are being explored by the Lokayukta officials, and this is in relation to 9 cases that have been registered against these officials. And many of their residences are in Belagavi, Mysore, as well as the regions of Ballari and Bidar. And these are the places where we have the elections, the by-polls that are being conducted in Karnataka, and that is why this assumes significance. However, whether there's any relation to any of the previous cases or not is yet to be revealed by the Lokayukta officials. And what we know for sure is that this has nothing to do with the Chief Minister's case, which is also being investigated by the Lokayukta officials. Yes, this comes hours before Chief Minister's entry into Mysuru, but remember, Chief Minister's entry there is in relation to the election or the impending election there, and also Mysuru happens to be his backyard. And with respect to further details in regard to the documents that have been collected or the evidences and the case details would be revealed once there's more progress with respect to these raids. Back to you.
All right, Pratibha, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. As Pratibha is reporting, Mysuru, the Chief Minister's backyard, but this is a disproportionate assets case. Now, that was also a politically contentious case in Karnataka, now being probed by the Lokayukta. Moving now to Uttar Pradesh, well, dramatic visuals coming in from Prayagraj. Thousands of UPPSC aspirants have taken to the streets demanding the examination, the PCS, which is essentially the Provincial Civil Services Examination, to take place in one shift as opposed to 2 shifts. And this has become a politically contentious issue as well. If you go across to my colleague Ranveer joining us live from Lucknow. Okay, Ranveer is live from Prayagraj with us. In fact, he's right in the midst of the protest. Ranveer, go ahead and get us some voices of those aspirants there.
I'm here in Prayagraj, and the students, the aspirants, they are demanding 1 day, 1 shift and no normalization. And this is the UPPCS, UP Public Service Commission office, and you can see a huge gathering of students. They are here to demand 1 day, 1 shift and no normalization from the Public Service Commission. And the protest is going on since last 24 hours, and I'm keen to hear from you. क्या मांग है आप लोगों?
मेरी ये मांग है कि खेल के बीच में खेल के नियम नहीं बदले जाएंगे। अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी कहा कि आप विद्यार्थियों को नोटिस जारी करने के बाद उसमें कोई बदलाव नहीं कर सकते। ये बीच में 1 महीने पहले इन्होंने ये नियम लगाया कि हम परीक्षा को 2 शिफ्ट में चालू करेंगे और नॉर्मलाइजेशन का लागू। हम लोगों को बिल्कुल भी ये अंदेशा नहीं था कि ये ऐसा करेंगे, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी ये कह दिया कि ये बिल्कुल बीच में छात्रों को अनदेखा नहीं किया जा सकता। ये इनकी पारदर्शिता और भ्रष्टाचार फैलाने का, ये अपने आप लोगों को भर्ती करेंगे, अपने रिश्तेदारों को भर्ती करेंगे, 50 लाख 70 लाख रुपए लेके देंगे, नंबर बढ़ाएंगे, हमको पता नहीं चलेगा कि हम कितने क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट करके हम पास होंगे, हमको कुछ पता ही नहीं चलेगा।
से क्या आपत्ति है, मैं समझ।
देखिए सर, इसमें क्या होगा कि अभी तक 1 पेपर 1 शिफ्ट हो रहा था, उसके बाद इन्होंने 2 पेपर 2 शिफ्ट हुआ। इनका साफ साफ ये मंशा है कि ये 2 क्रिकेट प्लेग्राउंड बनाना चाहते हैं। एक क्रिकेट प्लेग्राउंड पे ये हम लोगों खिलाएंगे और एक पे इनके बच्चे खेलेंगे। आप समझ रहे होंगे इंडायरेक्टली इनकी यही मंशा है। और दूसरी बात, मेरी सरकार की कार्यप्रणाली पे बिल्कुल दोष नहीं है, आयोग की कार्यप्रणाली का हम लोगों का विरोध है। और अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट का हाल में डिसीजन आया जिसमें अनुच्छेद 14 के थ्रू अप्रत्याशा का सिद्धांत दिया गया है, जिसमें ये स्पष्ट कहा गया है कि कोई भी लड़का जब तक एग्जाम का रिजल्ट ना आए वो अप्रत्याशित परिणाम ना देखे। और अनुच्छेद 16 में लोक नियोजन के थ्रू नौकरी देने का अधिकार है। और ये लोग ये लोग के राधा कृष्ण समिति की अनुशंसा के हिसाब से।
आप बताओ कब तक बैठेगा?
सर, नॉर्मलाइजेशन गलत बात है, हम इसका पुरजोर विरोध कर रहे हैं। मान लीजिए अगर 2 क्वेश्चन आए, एक
एक प्लास्टिक का युद्ध आया, एक प्लास्टिक का युद्ध कब हुआ और बक्सर के युद्ध हुआ, उसमें आप कैसे जज करेंगे कि कौन सा क्वेश्चन कठिन है, तो कैसे होगा। हम लोग आए आज नोटिस लेके जाएंगे, जिस और जवानी चलती है उस और जमाना चलता है। आए हम बारात लेके जाएंगे, नोटिस को साथ लेके, हम इसमें बनने वाले नहीं है।
सर हमारे देश में जब वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन हो रहा है, टेंट में स्ट्रैटेजी बसाई जा रही है संगम में, तो एक साथ हमारे एग्जाम क्यों नहीं हो सकते हैं?
सर मैं एक इतिहास रहा है कि ट्रांसपेरेंसी नहीं रही। सुप्रीम कोर्ट और हाई कोर्ट ने अपनी पुरानी जब कॉपी इवैल्यूएट करवाई थी तो उसमें कितनी धांधली हुई थी ये सबको पता है। तो ये अकाउंटेबिलिटी और ट्रांसपेरेंसी के लेक्चर देना बंद कर दे। सिंपल सी डिमांड है कि वन शिफ्ट में एग्जाम होना चाहिए, नॉर्मलाइजेशन नहीं हो। दैट्स इट।
एक बात केवल बोलना है, आप जो भी देख रहे हैं प्लीज माननीय योगी जी, माननीय मोदी जी से प्लीज, आप ये 12,000 छात्र 2 दिन से भूखे बैठे हैं, कोई तो कारण है, कोई तो रीजन है, कोई तो कमियां हैं। आप लोग क्यों दिखता है ये एसपी से हैं, ये बीएसपी से हैं, ये फलाने पार्टी से हैं, ये फलाने कोचिंग से हैं, आप लोग क्यों दिखता है? लेकिन छात्रों का दर्द सुनिए, वन शिफ्ट वन एग्जाम करिए प्लीज, निवेदन है आला कमान अधिकारियों और राजनेताओं।
सर देखिए, ये कहते हैं संवैधानिक पक्ष और एसओपी की बात करता हूँ, सिंपल सी मैं बात करता हूँ। इस देश में उत्तर प्रदेश बोर्ड के हाई स्कूल और इंटर के 20 लाख बच्चों का एग्जाम एक शिफ्ट में एक बार में करवा लेते हो, और छोटे छोटे प्राइवेट विद्यालयों में सेंटर जाते हैं। आप कहते हो शुचिता और पारदर्शिता रहती है, यहाँ पे जो सरकारी विद्यालयों में पारदर्शिता नहीं रहेगी। आप एमपी का इलेक्शन, एमएलए का इलेक्शन एक राज्य में, एक गांव में।
So you can see the anger of the students. They are protesting against the Public Service Commission, and the protest is going on since last 24 hours. And you can see the visuals how the students are angry, and they are saying that they will continue this protest till the Public Service Commission will accept it.
Ranveer, thanks very much for getting us those very strong voices there. A lot of anger and outrage on the ground. This, of course, as students continue to say that we want the exam in one shift. So the one shift, one day, one exam demand there. Of course, Akhilesh Yadav and Mayawati also wading into this row. We'll quickly take a short break now, but news continues on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
in the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts. Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Welcome back. The big political slugfest in Maharashtra over the Election Commission's luggage checking spree. Well, remember, it was yesterday when Uddhav Thackeray had alleged that his bags were checked by poll officials before a poll rally. In fact, this video, perhaps shot by Uddhav Thackeray himself, shows how his luggage was checked in his helicopter. In fact, this has triggered a massive political row as well, with the Uddhav Sena saying that, well, does the Election Commission also check the luggage of the Chief Minister, the Deputy Chief Minister, basically saying that the Election Commission has a clear bias, acting on the behest of the government. The BJP and the Shinde Sena have categorically denied these allegations. Also, Sanjay Raut saying that the Election Commission must also look at the kind of money that is being pumped in by the BJP across the state.
आप हमारा सामान चेक करिए, लेकिन क्या आप एकनाथ शिंदे, देवेंद्र फडणवीस, अजित पवार, नरेंद्र मोदी, अमित शाह जी, उनके हेलीकॉप्टर्स, उनके कारों का काफिला रुक कर आप उनकी जांच करते हैं क्या? महाराष्ट्र में जिस तरह से पैसे का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चल रहा है, क्या चुनाव आयोग के जो ऑब्जर्वर है उनको ये दिखता नहीं? हमने बार बार उनको बताया क्या हो रहा है का.
So pretty serious allegations being made by Sanjay Raut there, including, of course, the money trail that he's talking about. Earlier, I spoke to Krishna Hegde of the Shinde Sena. Listen to what he had to say.
Sanjay Raut has got a habit of making all these wild allegations without any proof. And in the last Lok Sabha election, Chief Minister Eknath Shindeji's bags were also checked when he was getting down from the helicopter, possibly in Nasik. And not only that, Eknath Shindeji did not make any fuss about it or did not create any uproar like the Uddhav Thackeray camp is doing now. Over that, if you have seen the Election Commission, they have acted swiftly. Whether it is near Sangola, whether it is in other places of Maharashtra, and even out of Mumbai in Jharkhand, you have seen that several places where cash has been seized by the Election Commission, and I think Election Commission is doing a good job. Firstly, instead of appreciating the huge exercise the Election Commission, the officials, the administration, the police, and all the departments are doing, they're just making these false allegations. Wherever the Election Commission is doing their work, they're doing, I think, promptly, and they're doing it well, systematically and professionally, and they have no bias whatsoever. Over that, like I told you, even the Chief Minister's bag has been checked. So I don't know why they are creating this kind of fuss all the time. If there is nothing, then what do you have to fear, actually?
Uddhav Thackeray upset after election officials checked his luggage, checked his bag in Yavatmal, where he was there to campaign. In fact, he pointed that his bags were checked, whereas several other leaders within the ruling party, their bags have never been checked. He also questioned the EC officials over why Amit Shah's bag or Prime Minister Modi's bag, or for that matter, Chief Minister or Deputy CMs of Maharashtra, their luggage never gets checked. He went on to say that while election officials are doing their duty and responsibility, it is also his duty to question, why they wouldn't check the bags of the people within, the leaders within the BJP or from the ruling Mahayuti. So yes, Uddhav Thackeray, they're upping the ante over the checks that have been done. Of course, this is part of the procedure where the election officials time and again check bags of several of the top leaders to ensure that no gifts or cash is being distributed. But over a period of time, the opposition had been pointing at how bags, luggage, vans, vehicles of many of the top leaders of the ruling party get ignored, never get checked, pointing at how election officials are working under the behest of the BJP. Sanjay Raut also attacking the BJP, attacking the poll officials over it, saying that they would like to have videos of officials checking bags of Prime Minister, Home Minister of the country, as well as of top leaders such as Eknath Shinde, Fadnavis and Ajit Pawar. So yes, allegations, counter-allegations, attacks, counter-attacks are going on as far as EC officials checking luggage, bags and vehicles of leaders are concerned.
Moving now to poll-bound Jharkhand. Well, ED raids are being conducted both in Jharkhand and West Bengal, reportedly over cross-border infiltration. Remember, cross-border infiltration has become a huge election issue as well. with Home Minister Amit Shah upping the ante against the JMM government, saying that Hemant Soren has been shielding infiltrators from Bangladesh. Hemant Soren, of course, had hit back, said that, well, once the centre has given protection to Sheikh Hasina, they cannot cry about infiltration. But cross-border infiltration certainly has been a problem in Jharkhand in the past few years, and it has now become a huge poll issue as well. But the ED raids are taking place under the PMLA Act. Earlier we spoke to Prabhakar for more.
ED raids are continuing in two states, that is West Bengal and Jharkhand, and 7 locations in Jharkhand are being raided as we speak, and those are the locations where the ED claims the agencies involved in actually helping the illegal immigrants, especially the illegal Bangladeshi immigrants settled in Jharkhand. So there were agencies, there were companies who were involved in it, who were actually securing forged documents for those illegal immigrants and helping them actually sneak into Jharkhand, settle here with so-called legitimate documents which they were procuring for them. So those are the agencies which are being raided as we speak. And remember, the tone for this had been set by Amit Shah